All right, are we ready?
Pre-game.
Everybody ready?
I already opened mine. I didn't know we were doing
That's
this,
okay.
guys.
That's all right.
I brought a can and everything.
I know.
didn't even know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers. Cheers.
Yes.
All right, everyone.
Welcome.
Welcome. Ooh, I'm peeking there.
Yay.
Sorry about that. Watch your ears. Welcome to the Unorthodox Film Podcast, where we discuss movies that meet specific genres, topics, or scenarios, and we recommend movies that we enjoy in hopes that we introduce our listeners to movies that they haven't seen or heard of. We bring our guests on. Today we've got a very special guest with us, and we discuss the movies that they've seen before and engage in conversation based on our memory and recollection of our enjoyment of those titles. And then at the end of each episode, we roll a dice. I didn't get the dice out, so we'll have to do that on break. We roll the dice and select one of our recommended titles that we all watch together. And then when we come back in our next episode, we'll discuss that film at length and with fresh eyes and what our new thoughts are on that. So last week we made recommendations for space exploration films.
Yes.
And then we
Astronauts.
randomly selected Sunshine from 2008 starring Cillian Murphy.
2007.
2007.
I said it was 2008.
I know,
That was my bad.
Flipped my mind.
just-
No, don't
checked
listen
it.
to me.
Okay, anyway.
But anyways, I am
my time.
your host, Bradford Clark, and I'm here with my co-host.
Joseph Sheldon Quick.
And today we have a very special guest with us, Miss Kayden Bryce.
Break it down, girl.
She is an actress. Any other titles for you?
Not really. If you want like a cake, I can probably make you a cake.
Oh, I would love.
But
I
not
would
really.
love a cake.
You have a lovely
Cat
singing
owner.
voice, too.
I love
You-
my cat, so
Okay.
I will proudly share that with
Okay,
cat
so
mom.
actress and cat owner,
Yes,
Kayden
sir.
Bryce.
We had a recent
sir.
premiere, A Holiday I Do, and you sang in a song.
I did.
Okay, so-
I
Yeah,
sing
that
a
was a
little.
surprise to
I sing
me.
a little.
Oh,
That
Okay.
was a
It was
surprise,
a surprise
to me.
too.
I was like, that's Kayden's name. And then we're listening to it, and I turned to Joe. I'm like, I wonder what song that was. And he goes, well, it's probably the one we're listening to right now. It was the last one on the credits. I'm like, yeah, that does sound like her.
Yeah, it was.
That sounds like
Frankie.
my dry ass humor. That's what that sounds like.
Yeah, it was Frankie Turner.
Yeah, Frankie wrote the song.
He
Frankie's
wrote it,
amazing.
and he like
yeah.
helped me sing it. He just helped with everything.
Have you, outside of the shower, have you sung before?
A little, yeah. I'm not gonna say I didn't. I watched a lot of Hannah Montana growing up, so I was
Okay.
like, oh, Miley
course.
Cyrus, like best of both worlds.
Right.
And so I played the guitar when I was younger.
Okay.
And I was singing for a little bit.
Very nice.
I did like some auditions for some singing shows before I got into film, so that was terrifying.
Yeah.
To have a lot of cameras in my face, and yeah, I still remember that. I'm still scared of that, even though
Auditions?
yeah, just like stepping into that space and not even. I wasn't aware at all of like how many cameras and lights there would be.
Right.
For like shows and movies
for the
and
stage
everything like that,
shows
for film.
for when you were doing for filming. I thought
Yeah.
you were talking about for like auditioning for the shows.
No,
as a
so
musician.
there was like a certain not traumatic because it was a really good experience, but when I was like 14 or something, it was weird because it was like I didn't even know that I could audition for the show. I thought you had to be older.
Okay.
But someone recommended me to go on for I think it was The Voice.
Okay.
Oh.
And
See, now
so-
this is something I definitely want to talk about. We should probably save this for.
Yeah, this is a
That's
long
fair.
story.
For the
This is a
next
long
show.
story.
That's
Like-
fair.
But
That's fair.
anyway, I sung for a little bit and then I got into acting. So I
Okay.
kind of stopped singing.
Okay. Yeah, you
But-
just kind of step back from
but I
that
would
and
do
focus
it.
on another art form. Yeah.
Yeah, but I like film a lot more.
So I think later I might ask you then how it came about that song ended up on the holiday.
Yeah, that'd be a great story for that show. Not that I don't think our fans here want to hear it, but they can tune into
No,
that.
that's all, they're gonna be like, what is this
like,
episode? I want to hear about the space.
Yes. So
movies.
Sunshine. So was this a first watch for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've seen it.
Yeah, I saw it pretty close to when it came out. I don't think I saw it in theaters. my wife would know better. She'd tell you, yeah, we saw this one at this time at this
Right.
theater, and this guy behind us was saying this.
I
and he
wish
was at
I saw it at theaters. I imagine theatrically this movie was probably a sight to see.
But we definitely enjoyed it so much the first time we saw it that we bought it on DVD. So I've watched it several times since then. Obviously, we've moved, and my DVD collection is basically somewhere in a box collecting dust.
Yeah, I
haven't
half-assed looked for mine, but I've got so many that they're still packed.
Yeah, it's just impossible to. I
wasn't-
don't have a place to set them up and have them on the wall as decoration like in my old house. So
I think my first watch
least
of it,
not
I came
yet.
across
I'm
the
getting there.
DVD as one of those buy 5 or buy 4 for 20 when the Hollywood Video and Blockbuster were going out of business.
oh yeah,
And I was so glad that
bins
I
of
did.
movies.
So,
Yeah, if you pick through those, you could find some gems. You
oh
could.
man, I have so many gems from those. So, as a first-time watcher of the movie, what did you think of it? Is this something that you would recommend to somebody?
I honestly don't I haven't watched a lot of space movies and stuff like that. It's
That's
just
fair.
not the first genre that I would pick.
Sure.
But this movie held my interest the whole entire time.
What I
was
love
really surprised.
about it is how they do the space thing different.
Yeah.
You don't see the ship a lot.
feels
You see
so realistic too,
Yes.
the way
Oh
they're
my God,
shooting
So
it.
Yeah,
they
when they
show the ship a lot, but you don't see the ship a lot. The way that they use
Yeah.
lighting is, in Star Trek and Star Wars, the ships themselves are so bright and the sky is so bright. And even with them coming upon the sun itself, there's still so much darkness. And I just
as
thought
long
that
as you're behind the shield.
when they hit the orbit of Mercury and they were passing by Mercury, the way that they were able to use the shadows and the minimal lighting give a scope of
the whole merge of the lighting aspect ratio and all the art and production design, the way they married all that was just so seamless and so beautiful. And even as far extending into, like you say, the space stuff, which is, I don't know if they use miniatures. I haven't done the research on it, but probably CG.
it held up. Whatever it was, it held up.
And it was
looked
seamless.
really good.
It was seamless, and it created this mood that, as you said, it was just so captivating.
Yeah.
Right? And it was just brilliant throughout, even down to the smallest details of the psychologist getting more and more tan and then
Right.
flaky and then peeling stuff off of himself right in front of people, like slowly going mad. But then
Yeah.
you think he's gonna end up he's the crazy guy, but it's it's
Yeah.
twist after twist in that. It's so good.
What did you think of the twist?
I was shocked. I was like, what's going on right now?
Yeah.
I thought the movie was going to be done. I was like, is this part 2? They're like, oh yeah, let's add in this guy. This is going to be a spoiler. If anyone hasn't seen it, y'all should see it, but you should also listen to this episode. So just watch the movie after the spoiler. It's still going to be good. Because
it's a brilliant movie.
Yeah,
in
even,
all
like,
aspects,
just
cinematic,
the
just
set
the
design,
acting.
the
Yes.
building for that, the tunnels that they went down, and they got to ride their fun little
The little scooter?
was
I
like,
loved the scooter.
Yeah, I want to go on this
The art,
space.
the art design, the production design, all that down to the detail of even those scalpels that were
power saws.
Yeah.
And the oxygen garden, all the little stuff, the golden plated or copper plated, whatever
The spacesuits?
spacesuits,
Yes.
Those were
every
cool,
little
too.
detail,
Yeah. I was like-
every detail.
I've never seen this before.
Right.
They weren't on strings.
And everything was different. It was a new space look without repeating old space look, what we're accustomed to
Right,
seeing for
right.
NASA.
It was
you know,
refreshing, and it was put together, like you said, seamlessly.
Yeah.
Just enjoyable, really good sci-fi.
Yeah.
and it's an ensemble cast. Most of the story is told through just obviously the visual of closer and closer to the sun, reminding you that they're in space.
It opens up with a narrative from Cillian Murphy's character, who is basically the quantum physicist who designed and built the bomb.
Right. So
And,
two movies he gets to blow up atoms. 'Cause he's Oppenheimer.
Yeah, right. Well, it took him a while to come. Took him a while to come full circle, but he did it with prestige.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so
it's
yeah,
brilliant.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you said earlier that you thought it was going to be the other guy, and I thought 1,000,000%. I was
Right.
like, oh, they're setting it up.
And there's even a point where they show this picture of like them and like doing
Celebrating.
Christmas. Yeah, and I'm looking like, is he in that photo? That's why I even asked you guys when we watched it. Is he in that photo? Because I didn't see him, but I missed something.
Yeah.
And I had missed that apparently.
Well, they did a lot of flash frames, right? When they entered the.
Those scared me a little bit. I was
at
like,
first, before you kind of
I had to
realize
keep
what it
blinking my
is.
eyes.
Every time a flashlight
right?
or a source of light flashed the screen, it would flash frame.
And it was a
dead crew
close-up, close-up of an individual of these dead crew members from that Christmas photo. So then when you finally see it in full,
yeah,
and it took me several times watching the movie to fully get that. So I don't think that they did it.
I thought it was fire behind them.
Was
it fire behind them?
So I think that when you saw the flash, there was effects, so you were supposed to feel.
Between that there was fire.
Yeah,
I felt something. I was
but
like,
in the photo,
Yeah.
it was like wreaths or flowers or something. They had like Christmas poinsettias or something.
No, I feel like it's like an image that I'm gonna like close my eyes at night and it's gonna be like flashing in
Right.
my eyeballs. So,
Right.
But it
fine.
ended up being one of my favorite
Mark
British
Strong.
actors. Mark
So,
Strong, yes.
All of the previous times I've watched the movie, I legit thought that Cyril, I think his name was, the psychologist who got left behind, was
also a
the
brilliant
sun
actor. What is
was the
his
sun
name?
creature at the end. So I was like, oh man, how did he get there?
That's what I
Cliff
thought
Curtis.
too.
Yeah.
Cliff
I was
Curtis,
like, there's no way, because I saw the other dude
Yeah.
fly off, and there's
Yes.
no way he's making it.
Yeah.
But
Then at the same time, I was like, I don't know at this point. There's
Right.
so much going on.
But if it wasn't for, and I think my earlier watches, I didn't recognize Mark Strong as an actor. Now that I recognize him as an actor, when I saw him in the earlier video in that first
he had just
act,
that one video where you actually see his face.
because I was like, why would you pay Mark Strong to
any
come in
other
for that
reference
4
to him-
seconds? You know?
Any other reference to him after that one video is all like distorted, and
Yes.
you can tell it's him if you know and you're
If you
really
know-
looking for
yes.
it, which I established this time, which I'm sure you're saying the same thing. But there's no other actual straight footage of him. Right. And that's one thing I love about this movie is they do a great thing with like with reflections, like reflective surfaces. Like it was almost planned in the building of the thing, so we can have this shot when the guy's sitting here. Like,
right,
but
I noticed that too.
when you're observing it, or like as the group or the viewer, it's nice and clear. But whenever you see the character looking at themselves in the reflection, it's very like refracted and broken.
Yeah.
Which I just love that as like an issue to self-inflection, which when you see the scene where the guy's like almost burning himself, Cliff Curtis's character, right, the psychologist, that's really what the tone of the movie is like, what is man in relation to God and the cosmos, and do we have the right, or how do we have the audacity, depending on how you're looking at it, to go beyond what has been given us if we destroy it? Or if, in this point, they're not even saying we destroyed it, the sun is dying, right? And do we have the right to restart it? That's really what Mark Strong's character's question is. Plus, I mean, they frame it in a way where he's gone psychotic by staring at the sun and burning himself. He's like, skin's melting.
And he spent 6.5 years or whatever it was by himself.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, I think that's a good transition point, because I do want to talk about like the tone and like where the actual fear came from in the film.
Yeah.
So I want to take us back to talking about the ensemble cast. Because there's a great number of performers with Cillian Murphy, Rose Byrne, Chris Evans,
Michelle Yeoh,
Michelle Yeoh, yep.
Benedict Wong,
as you mentioned, Cliff Curtis, but
Kuryoku Sanda.
They are able to. So first off, I want to highlight that there were 7 cast members. So it was just 2 females, and the rest were males. But
was it 2 or
2? Was there 3?
2. Was there a third? That died off? I don't think so. No. We got Michelle Yeoh, Rose Byrne.
There was no love story of any kind to distract from what was going on. But all of them individually had interpersonal relationships with each other.
The
And
other 2 women in the movie were like in
voices. They weren't on the ship.
In footage, they weren't on the ship,
Yeah,
right? Like
it was the sister and the voice
watching
of
the
kiss.
sunrise and stuff like that.
But
I don't know who I was thinking of.
their portrayal in their characters really highlighted for me the isolation that they had to feel. Like this is, I believe, classified as a horror movie. What does IMDb say? I would definitely put it in there as a thriller and a horror, especially with that third act.
Yeah.
But and you know, the chaos that happens.
It does sci-fi horror. Yeah.
But for me, the most frightening thing, like space to me, is one of the scariest things out there. Yeah. Chris Evans' character mentions after they lose communication, he's like, "We're 55 miles away from home. We are alone. Like just because we can't talk to anybody, you're not talking to anybody in real time.
Yeah.
Look how much happened before his sister even got the video he sent out.
It took like
the
7
whole
years
movie,
or something.
yeah.
So you're not, and as far as the whole movie goes, this is something else I was going to mention. You had mentioned about the burns on his skin. It was important that they cut Chris Evans' hair because I didn't even really notice it until the end of the film. He had gone from short to about a half an inch of hair. So time did pass for us
and the
throughout
first
the
time
film.
you see him, he's shaggy and got a beard.
Right,
and
but they clean him up. Well, I thought it was,
he got in that fight, and they made him like take a shower, have a haircut, go take some therapy, and then you see that growth. So yeah, time has still gone by.
So the way the film focused on isolation and what that can do to the human psyche, I thought every character, every actor did an amazing job of portraying and bringing me in, you know, to what they could possibly be feeling. How did you guys feel about that?
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Like even down to the scene in the where is it? Not the garden.
The coolant room?
The oxygen chamber.
The oxygen chamber.
The oxygen garden where they had their like vegetable garden and all sorts of other plants to create O2 and then stored in tanks.
Like when it caught on fire and she she wanted to get in there.
Yes.
Because like that's like at that point like she knew she was probably gonna die. Like that's the only thing that I feel like she.
I mean, I felt like I was watching her cooking in a toaster oven.
She was getting roasty toasty. Yeah. Like definitely over easy.
But she survived it somehow.
I definitely felt it had to be warm there. Even before she got through that last room.
Yeah.
One of the other things that caught my attention was how the scene activity played out without explaining it to us. Like, you know, we so many times like they're over explaining the switch and doing what they're doing there, and there was a lot of math. The plot was moved forward with a lot of logistics and stats that didn't need to be explained to us, but I thought was
they gave you enough of it for you to feel satisfied.
Yeah,
with
the way that it was used,
it didn't overbear you with any of that science. Really.
When they were docking
comfortable with it.
Icarus 2 to Icarus 1 to board it, you know, that could have been a whole 5-minute sequence in any other space, you know, movie. The whole docking and the music picking up, and you see close-ups of the jets bursting, but they just fucking park in and.
That's pivotal in the success of a sci-fi movie. I mean, like even like Back to the Future wouldn't have been as great had they explained it too much without giving you enough to be like, that sounds like science.
Yeah, like, or if they take too long, like timing. Is so important. Because if I was watching that for 5 minutes of them, like, like clamping everything in slow-mo
there's a way
space.
Of fitting it into the drama with the writing.
Well, there was enough
perfect.
There was enough tension happening elsewhere that they didn't need to fabricate the tension of will they, won't they dock? Like, oh my god, like
we're all just
and instead it came out of nowhere when the hatch blew.
I know.
After they were already, and so like the way that
they
the film
had the tension
used
anyway, but they kept throwing you curveballs, dude. They really did.
And it really did come down to the decision. Like everything was for a minute. I was like, man, I didn't realize this movie had such a slow burn to it. Like everything's going all rosy daisy for them. What happens? And he's like, and then they get the signal, and Cillian Murphy's like, yeah, but mathematically speaking, we should totally like just derail our whole mission and like, go to this other ship. They're right. Yeah, let's just do that. And literally and from that decision,
some of them were agreeing. I was like,
well, he didn't bring it up, but he ultimately was the one who made the decision. But that's because the captain put it on him.
Right.
Well, and he ran the logistics of it.
The captain who was half crazy because he just stood on the end of the shields and like, killed himself. Yeah. You know, he was losing his mind. You could tell.
Well, he was a psychologist. That was a psychologist. The captain was the guy who sacrificed himself outside. Oh, that's what you're talking about.
I am talking about him. Yeah, because he did finish. And he could have made it back because Cillian Murphy went all the way to the hatch and came all the way back to the edge and was like, come on, get over here. And he just went, no, I'm going to turn around and watch the sun consume me. Yeah. You know, he was at the end of his rope. They had all signed on basically for a suicide mission, hoping they could get home. There was a plan to get home because that's just in our human nature. But they all knew
the last mission didn't even make it to point B.
Right. And that's what's
they
interesting.
Needed to make it
As
to
you
B
said,
and
you felt
C.
like there's almost a sequel in it because you come upon this new vessel, the old Icarus One, and you find out this whole other backstory in this really short amount of time while it's at the point of basically being the culmination of the movie, right?
Yeah.
So it's this whole extra mind fuck, but they do it well. They really do. It gets overwhelming for a second, but then you're like, right. You really do have to pay attention. Mm-hmm. And as you said, they do a good job of pulling you in.
Yep. There was a scene where Rose Byrne's character goes to Cillian Murphy and he kind of explains to her and consequently to us like how the bomb works and how it explodes. But she asked him about, or she mentions that they're going to die. They're definitely going to die. And he denied it. And she was like, come on now, I know this. And I'm very certain you know this. Right. Are you afraid? And then he explained from his point of view because of the beauty of what they're doing and what it would look like.
He's not afraid.
And that's so it got me thinking. And I feel like the movie asks this to us as viewers. So I wanted to see if this something came across your minds or if it didn't, what you think about it. But knowing that you're going to die, but also knowing that this is like literally a once in a lifetime experience for any human being. Most of the time we're afraid to die because we're afraid of what we might miss out on, right? But if ultimately something this cool is, like the fact that they got to sit on a bench and watch Mercury pass.
Yeah, like at that close of a... Yeah.
How do you feel about that? If you were in their place, do you think that you could put yourself in that position? Like, holy shit, this is like the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Before I answer you, I want to add that you forgot that they are also doing it to save all of humanity.
All of humanity, yes, absolutely.
Facts. Yeah.
Right. So there's a selflessness to it.
The whole solar system, really.
Yeah.
Right.
Not solar system, I guess, just our solar system.
But
not
like
the
even with
galaxy.
the Henry character,
solar system, I got that.
The Henry character, when the new captain was elected, he wouldn't even go down with his ship, and so he obviously that wasn't enough for him. He still wanted to get home to whatever is, because you have no idea what's ahead of you, right? And we have that expectation and hope that it's always going to get better. But if you have a chance to sit and pass by Mercury, like
you're like, you could save all of humanity, but if you had a chance to sit and pass by Mercury,
and they went past, they went past other objects.
Oh, absolutely. That's just one, just sitting and looking at what I'm saying is like. I know it's an extreme question to put yourself in that situation, but if you were in that situation, like, how do you think that you'd be able to handle that psychologically? Like, would that cross your mind that, like, well, on the one hand, I'm probably missing out on 30 years of my life, but in 30 years of my life, would I ever see anything this cool?
I mean, it's impossible.
Where does the scale fall?
It's impossible to know until you're actually in that situation, what you'd actually do. I'd like to believe that I would be kind of the mind of Cillian Murphy's character, where this is why I'm here. This is what I came. This is what I built the bomb for. This is what, it's. I left my whole family behind to come and make sure they can live. Yeah, I would have no qualms with making sure I was alive until the payload did its job, regardless of my life. I wouldn't be worried about the journey home. That hope being there is nice, but I mean, also I know myself. Like, if I set myself up for something and say I'm going to do it, the hope being there doesn't affect me. Because I'm here till I'm done. There is going to be an after.
Yeah.
If there's not, and I signed up for that, I guess that would, I think my conviction, but that's me personally. I don't know.
Yeah, what about you, Kayden?
I don't know. I'm really torn.
Yeah, but it's something to think about,
it's a
though.
hard
Like,
question,
it's like, holy shit.
but I know, like, if it did come up, I would be like, can I bring my cat and my family and my friends and this one person that I met at the grocery store that I thought was really nice? Because, like, I don't know if it would be worth it to me if I saw that and then I came back, like, miraculously
and
like
you have
made a
this
recovery.
selfish memory.
I'm home, and then like
I also wouldn't have the
everybody's like
same
gone,
answer
or like
at
something
your age.
happened
yeah,
to them.
that would
have
I
this
wouldn't
answer.
want to be
That would
there
be
anymore.
terrible.
Yeah.
You went and say like reignited
Like I don't
the
care about
sun,
me,
made
but I
back.
care about other people.
What if they heated it up too much? What if that explosion and chain effect that Cillian Murphy's character was talking about, like, and they quadrupled
Right,
the size of the
'cause he
sun
did-
and
Right,
just
the
fried the
bomb,
fuck
like,
out of
messed
the
up.
earth?
The computer, the AI computer said it was inquantifiable. So,
Yeah.
they could, they could have done that. But I mean,
could've.
honestly, at your age, when I was your age, I wouldn't have had the same answer I have now.
Right.
And I definitely, even at this age, wouldn't have had the same before I was a father. You know what
I think
mean? Like,
the
when I was,
the importance of the question to me is like one. I think it's a different approach to like being afraid of death or what is the
Yeah.
purpose of life or any of those weird questions that we ultimately don't have an answer for. But this different perspective that I feel this movie asked of me, at least gives me a different way to ask myself that question. Because I mean, ultimately, what are you talking about when you're afraid to die? You're afraid of not having a future, right? But we live every day from memory, right? You're always talking about what was, or do you remember that time? And so we live in this like weird existential middle ground of hoping for better memories.
Most of society does,
and energizing on past memories.
And
So
and
if an
always
opportunity, not just
the
necessarily
present has to be for the future, so that we
Right.
can create more memories of the past.
not necessarily
I'm more of a live in
something
the present kind of guy.
as unique and catastrophic as being on a ship to reignite the sun, but somewhere in between there, I'm sure there are situations that we come across that ultimately would make us ask ourselves that same question.
Yeah.
And so I think this movie posing that in a way to force me to ask myself that question was fascinating.
Yeah, and I also I really liked that at first you're hopeful that, again, a spoiler alert, you're hopeful that they're gonna make it, but then you get to a point where everything's just going downhill so quickly, you're like, man, and then you kind of accept it.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, okay, I know most of these characters are gonna die.
Right.
All that
But then they
unquantifiable
throw
stuff
in-
starts. Yeah.
Yeah, but then I'm okay with that. I'm like, okay, I know how they're gonna die, and then they throw in the guy from the other ship, and that's a whole nother factor.
Right.
That's a different type of fear of death.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the fear of
imminent.
being
I almost
killed,
wouldn't even call
not
it
dying.
a horror movie.
Right.
Without
Yeah.
that element, I wouldn't even have called it a horror movie because it doesn't feel like one until you get the bad guy, and then Cillian Murphy's character figures out who he is, and you have
It
to
was
kind of.
crazy.
They don't spoon feed you anything, but they also don't make you hungry for more.
No, I could
if
follow
you're
along
paying
the whole
attention.
time.
Yeah. It was It was really nicely done.
So I have a question for you guys. This isn't necessarily I'll just ask a question. Who had the worst death?
Oh man.
Because when I think about it, being blown into space and freezing has got to take half a second.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, it's really painful, but
Being
he's
burned by
literally
the sun
disintegrating
is
pretty
probably
much.
also pretty instantaneous, but a man-made sun-protecting suit probably took a little bit longer, but I feel like there was a bit of enjoyment to that before he boiled.
Right, he
Right,
was a
'cause of
little
just what they
nuts, so
got to
he
see.
took some joy in
I'm
that.
going to have to lean
Also
on
with-
Chris Evans' death.
Yeah, that one when he dunked
He
himself.
suffered
I was
so
thinking the same
long.
thing.
The AI's brain was
Because-
in this coolant liquid in this chamber, and the bad guy made it come up out and got it stuck, and he jumped in there to get it, and he had to jump in and
4
out 3
times?
times. I think 3.
The
and
first
the last time
he
he's-
looked like he was gonna be done.
Yeah, right away. No, please.
No, yeah.
The first time he did look like he was about to be done, but that third time he jumped in, he tried to get out. He was so frozen, he couldn't get out enough in time, and then his leg got caught.
His leg
right?
got
And
caught,
Just-
and he just got stuck there. So it was a combination of probably dying of shock, the hypothermia, and
then-
frozen blood
What
loss.
a
I don't
beautiful
mean,
job Chris Evans did of just
Oh my God.
I felt like
I was cold.
I could,
Yes.
and I could
Yes.
feel his heart slowly stopping.
And were
Right,
you
You know what I mean?
yeah.
The way he did that.
were you also warm when they showed the sun? Did you feel temperature while you watched the movie?
Oh, not as much as when the coolant was, happening, because he was shivering so much.
I thought that the way that they did the sound design for
That's true.
Just different accentuations on things.
yes.
Like there was this like feeling when
sun
you would
got
go
too much, it
outside.
would be
Yes, you would go outside
Yeah,
and
the
there was just,
sizzle,
rattling,
actually.
yes,
Yeah.
I was like, man, like there's no way for me to experience in any way what that feels like, but I feel like
It's like, it's hot.
the anxiety that this
Like that
combination of video
they need
and
to have
audio
an
is giving me.
anniversary release of that. Bring it back to theaters in the
I would
D
love
box.
to see
In
it
the
in the
D box
theater.
where
that'd
it
be
shakes.
Bro,
and-
I would pay
yeah.
whatever amount of money. I don't care.
That would
Yeah.
be
That
so
would be
dope.
amazing.
Yeah. In an IMAX with the D box.
Yeah.
Oh,
So this
And
is
they could have,
definitely.
like, hot and cold certain parts. you
Yeah.
feel
Oh
me?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They would just like crank the heat up and then drop the.
They have little heaters that they
Sign
kick on
me
the sides.
Sign me up. I want a
They need some
4D
little towels
theater
from-
experience.
from the
Give me some of that.
So ultimately, this is a win for everybody, right?
Oh yeah, it was a
I'm
great
gonna
movie.
recommend. I'm gonna tell my family to watch it.
Yeah,
honestly.
100%.
Yeah, it's a brilliant film.
We never
It really
actually
is.
name mentioned, but Danny Boyle was the director of this. Alex Garland was the writer. Danny Boyle is a magnificent filmmaker who, like, this is one of the movies. Like, a lot of people, Trainspotting was the one that drew them in.
Yeah, I've always.
You know,
loved
for
Danny
others,
Boyle.
it was 28 Days Later, which 28 Days Later came out before this, so it definitely won me over. But
Yeah.
Sunshine locked it in for me that this guy
Another
knows how to
level,
make
dude.
a
Next
fucking
level.
Really
movie.
good.
Any other final thoughts from you guys?
I noticed they also did some Dutch angles on
So
some
many.
things, and I really liked that.
So
I haven't
many.
seen
I
a lot
thought
of
those-
Dutch
that's-
shots.
was
That's a great point. Yeah, the camera work in that was so. There were a couple things I noticed that I felt worked because of story. Like, for example, when they jumped to Icarus 1, they had to check out the systems. Does it work? Does it this? Does it that? But they were never floating, which means the gravity
Everything
equalizer
was
was
on.
there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I don't need to question that because the floating would have like killed the fluid, of the scene. But instead of that, because there was, unless they were outside of the spacecraft, there was never any lack of gravity. Even when Cillian Murphy's character blew the door open, like they were never fighting that.
Yeah.
But the camera had no rules to gravity. There were
it was
times where close-ups were overhead, dolly movements wide were like,
Yeah.
it was Dutched all the time. It was,
Yeah.
the perspectives changed, some of the craziest, weirdest play.
yeah,
like,
I loved it.
the
Yeah, that's
side
also
profile close up of Cillian Murphy in the suit.
So much use
God.
of reflections.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
I love that part.
Like, was it half
Also,
a
when
helmet? How did they shoot that?
When they did, I want to say really quick, when they did all of the shots in the suit and they had the screens up
Oh yes.
of like that, and they were
Yes.
watching the screens. That really I thought it was really cool.
So it's too often because they were out there they had to realign the reflectors of the shield. They were moving the
Yeah.
fin. Something they were doing they were out in space
They were
doing
working.
something.
They were
and my wife's
repairing.
claustrophobic, and she
And-
said like the way they shot that made her feel like she was in there.
I
with them.
100%
It was
believe that.
panic-inducing, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I could feel what they presumably would feel because even though they had noticed the pictures, but there wasn't a rear camera, like that, like you are locked into what looked like an 1.5-inch visor. So you could literally just move your eyes left and right. You couldn't turn your body.
He was able to.
Your
He
neck.
was able to move his head in there.
a little bit.
Yes, but
But
it didn't change
was
visually.
hot.
No,
anything.
exactly. Not really. He had to move his whole body. Like,
Yeah.
So they were trying to find bolts. They were trying to find tools, but that wasn't, again, that wasn't the focus of
like
everything.
Michael
I still thought
Keaton
about
in
it.
the bat suit.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, when he
I was
fell.
just thinking how hard it would be to move in that suit. And then they had like the sweatbands on.
Yeah. Yeah. The costume designing in it, from the casual work to then getting in the suit, all of it was just,
Yeah,
it was
really
beautiful,
good.
top-notch.
I'm not
yeah.
gonna lie.
it was top notch.
Dream team across the board for the crew and post production. Everything came together seamlessly.
Any other final thoughts from you, Joe?
That was it right there.
That was it. That was the
final
one.
thought.
That was a
That
good
was the
period. I
final
ruined
thought.
it.
Period.
I put a semicolon on it. All right. So, watch Sunshine.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad that this is the one that we ended up rewatching because it was a pleasure for me to watch it again. I haven't seen it in probably a decade, and
Me too. It hadn't been a decade, but there's still things like the nuances of it that I hadn't really fully remembered. It didn't stick with me, and I was still pleasantly surprised. Like it was still just a beautiful film.
Yeah.
Even things, the small things I didn't remember, that just gorgeous. So next we're going on to
let's talk Disney animation.
When we
movies.
invited Kayden on the show, we asked her. We changed up the format a little bit. We asked the guest what they would like to talk about, and through our discussion, we decided on Disney animated originals.
Yes.
Which is really anything that has animation in it from Disney that's before any reboots, like no second Aladdin, or any like the live animation,
right?
Live action animation, yeah.
Right. So when you say anything animation, like, are we looking forward to Pete the Dragon, or because that's like a
It's a crossover, but I mean, I'm gonna be honest. If it's not, then I gotta.
Okay.
If it's not, then I gotta get a bigger list because that's half my fucking list. Right?
Wow. Okay. So that I'm looking forward to seeing how everyone approaches this. And what did we decide on for Pixar? Are we talking about Pixar today?
Can we?
Yeah, she's
absolutely.
She definitely said she
would
wants to Pixar.
No, I'm fine with it. It's Disney.
I don't believe I did. Actually, no, I think one of mine is. But we're here.
Yeah.
Right now, we don't know.
I'm with it.
I don't really have any extras, but I know
That's
movies.
okay.
So
I got
If I pick
shit I
one
can
of yours,
talk
you
about.
can say no, and I'll pick a different one.
I usually have
It'll be like a
very
speed
gracious
round.
of
like triple what we need just because I've seen so many movies. But
Yeah, you're telling
and
me earlier, I was like,
I've seen
man,
a hell of a lot of animated Disney movies, but there's
I'm glad.
so many that I was like, hopefully other people will pick those. These are the ones I want.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, I don't know. I
Yeah,
really
and
don't like these.
my approach is always, I try and pick titles that fewer people that have seen or is ultimately less popular. Not that I discourage anyone else from doing it, but my goal is always to maybe inspire someone to like, oh my God, I didn't know that was a thing.
You're
And
giving them
so I've kind of got a mix in there. Cause I mean, I obviously have some in here that are, glaring obvious ones, but they're obvious to me. So we'll see how it goes. So that makes 12 picks. We're each going to pick 4 of them. We're going to kind of do it around. Do you have any opposition to offering up our first topic, or would you like one of us to start?
Well, I have a notepad that I wrote down some movies.
Oh, get your notepad.
I have it, but I kind of wanted to say some different ones.
Well, just throw
somebody
us
else. Somebody else start.
Somebody else go. Okay.
I'll start it.
Joe's going to start us out today.
I'm worried that I'm not going to have enough, and I don't want to think of any more because I just don't want to. First off,
That's very fair.
This movie, and a lot of Disney movies were around in my childhood, but they were just there. This movie was the first time, and it is actually a Pixar, I believe. It just, I don't want to say it changed my life, but it definitely changed my perception as an adult for animated films.
Okay.
And I still enjoy it to this day. It's just The Incredibles.
Oh, okay.
The Incredibles
That's a good one.
is so good.
Where's my super suit?
Yeah.
Where's my super suit?
Every character is so nuanced. Those actors did so well in the animation. Brad Bird was seamless.
Yeah.
Incredibles 2 was amazing as well, but we're saying originals, so I don't think we could do sequels. And obviously, I'm not. But just that franchise is amazing, and I can't believe they're not doing more with that world. But all the Pixar worlds really are kind of intermingled in some way. There's Easter eggs everywhere.
Well, there's Easter eggs, so I view that differently. I don't view that as making them in the same, like, ultimately universe.
Right,
I think that was more
You're
the
taking
filmmakers.
it in the vein that I meant.
Filmmakers were like, "Hey, how about that?"
I just
like,
didn't want anyone to
Easter egg.
yeah, and that's great.
But
I
I
just
have
didn't want anyone
I'm telling
to
you,
misconstrue what I'm saying.
The internet,
I mean,
if you are ever bored,
supers.
has so much lore tying all the Pixar movies together that
And I've seen some of it.
it'll make your mind explode.
I just think they could do more movies in that universe of just the Incredibles universe. Like, I want to see, like,
I agree.
What is all these joke superheroes? What are their backstories? What was let's get
that could be a good TV series.
Of these, yeah, I think it'd be hilarious.
Yeah, I agree. I like The Incredibles. The Incredibles is one of the first movies that I took my daughter to, where she got to be in the theater to watch it. So that's one of our earliest theater trips. And I mean, I fucking loved it because that's what Pixar's good at. Pixar's good at making movies that are incredibly enjoyable for children, but somehow next level entertainment for adults that as a child you completely miss, and then you come back as an adult to a movie you've seen 2,800 times. And you're like, the
Or you're like, that joke was not there before.
First time I took my daughter to the movies was actually very recently because my daughter's still young. Me and my wife took her to see Coraline.
Okay.
In theaters,
Oh
Neil Gaiman, right? And it was just, I love the movie. I've watched it with her at home, but seeing it on the big screen and watch it, she just, she lit
She was
up.
terrified.
It is.
She
Really? Yeah,
loved
good
it.
for her.
She
I was so scared of that
loved it.
movie when I was little.
No, she loves that movie. That's
Yeah,
why
I
I took her.
believe it.
It freaked me out,
went
which is funny because I love
She
horror
went for
now.
Coraline for Halloween when she was 4.
Okay,
Yeah,
never
okay.
mind.
She's 5 now.
Your
She'll be
kid's
6
cool.
soon.
Yeah.
She dressed up as a skeleton this year. She said, dye my hair pink,
I love your
and
daughter.
she's all painted up as a skeleton face. And she was
Oh,
like,
that's awesome.
I'm Jack Skellington. And I'm like, no, you're not Jack Skellington. Whatever. You be what you want.
Yeah, that's
Let
Punk
the imagination. Yeah, she's Jack Punk Skellington. That's exactly right.
Another thing I want to
Gender
mention about...
appropriation was huge this year. So we just...
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right. You know.
Jason Lee as the villain in this is probably one of my favorite voices for a
Yes,
villain.
well, I'm a huge Jason Lee fan anyway, so
Period.
that was a giant selling point for me. Yeah.
And his portrayal...
Craig T. Nelson, too.
The way that, well, yeah, and it was just the way that the Pixar team, Brad Bird, approached how to make a villain, you know, or even just approaching any of the supervillain or the superhero tropes. You know, what's her name? The Incredibles Q. Was it Wanda? No capes.
Oh my god, I love
No
that.
capes.
Yes.
No capes is like 2 words that are like common sense. You're like, holy shit,
is the
yes. Like
best.
she had all the good points to not wear a cape. Like, no, I don't do capes. Like, you want to die? That's how you
Right.
die.
Yeah, that's exactly how you die.
Yeah.
I think
my
that was
favorite
Brad Bird too. I think Brad Bird voiced that character.
I'm looking right now. Let's see it.
So good.
What's her name? Edna Moles.
Edna
Edna.
Mall.
The babysitter
Edna
for the little
Mall.
baby.
Where's Edna Moles? It must have been Brad Bird then, because I'm not seeing...
I'm almost certain it was Brad Bird.
Like, I don't see... There's a lot of people. Mike Myers did one. Like,
Mike Myers was a voice in that?
Who was he?
What?
it doesn't say who he is. There's just people who do random... Wallace Shawn was Gilbert Humph. Like, oh my goodness,
God,
so
dude.
many good
Yeah, the
people
cast.
in
Well,
this.
so Sam Jackson obviously was my favorite character when I saw it because
Iceman.
yeah, Frozone.
Frozone.
Is because it's Sam Jackson. He's entertaining in everything he does. But Craig T. Nelson was a win for me as well.
John Ratzenberger
Oh, it's a Pixar movie.
was the Underminer.
He was the mole. Yeah.
Underminer. If anybody doesn't know who that is, that's Cliff from Cheers.
Oh,
Postman.
he's I forget
Where's
all the
Edna
characters
Moles?
he's
How
played
is
in
Edna
it.
Moles not on here?
I'm so bad with it. With names.
Okay, I'm
Well,
over it,
faces
but
and everything.
that's upsetting.
That's another thing about Disney animation that maybe we'll talk. We probably won't mention a lot of actors' names tonight because either one, they were just actors that were outside of our age range and importance to us, I guess. But it wasn't a big thing until probably around Aladdin when they started like putting
like mid-90s. Yeah.
in the advertisements Robin
really-
Williams because
yeah.
they just released the
It was-
movie and the
honestly,
movie on its
Like
own.
mainstream.
It was Robin Williams who changed that, quite literally. Like, to the point where
He had his contract
when
needed
they
a name.
did, when they did a spinoff like Aladdin 2.
Yeah, that was Homer
And-
Simpson.
Yeah, the guy who voices Homer System, but they had him do a Robin Williams impersonation, and he sued Disney over that. Obviously, not the performer, but yeah. And this
Well,
was a thing
but I
back
mean,
in the day.
even in the original advertising,
obviously,
even
and
the
it was
original
just-
advertising of Aladdin, though, it's one of the first times that you knew big name actor.
Yes.
that was a
Yes.
recognizable name. Was advertised. Not that they hadn't used big name actors before, but it wasn't part of like a trailer.
No, it
piece
was just
to
something that they
advertise.
did, and the movie came out, and if people saw it in the credits, and that was it. Oh, I didn't know that. You know what I mean? But yeah. Now they literally like sell theaters and
Yeah, they put it on the front.
base movies. On
What do you think of Incredibles?
I thought it was incredible.
Yeah,
Nice.
No,
Nice
I
and
didn't
succinct.
actually I feel like it came out when I was when did it come out? What year?
2000. Let's see.
I got it right here.
Oh my gosh, she's on
Incredibles
it.
was 2004.
Right.
Okay, so I was 1.
And
You're right.
yeah, right. My daughter was
So it's
2.
very formative. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like I didn't really I watched it a couple years ago.
Okay.
Actually.
So it was more of like a later.
Oh, like
It was-
wasn't really part of your childhood? Then.
Not really,
more
no,
of your
'cause, I mean,
adolescence.
Yeah, I don't think my brother really.
Mm-hmm.
He probably watched it. I don't think I watched it though. I was like
I
watching
was
like Barbie movies.
manager
and-
of a
Okay.
pizzeria in Florida when I
Yeah.
watched
There
it.
you go.
So
There you
yeah,
go. So we're at different
Yeah.
times of our lives.
So you've got your
That was
list.
back in my list.
I do. Are we going like one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One,
Okay.
one, one. Yeah.
Okay,
your
so
turn.
I don't know if this is like if this one's gonna count because it's newer. Like
You fuck
Does
it
it
out there. It's in there. No, no,
okay,
no.
because I really liked this movie and I've rewatched it like 4 times. So
It's
I'm
an
gonna stand on
original.
this one.
And it's not a reboot or a live
It's
action.
Pixar.
Okay, but it's an original.
Yeah. It
So
is-
the original is like, if you want to do sequels, do sequels. So that doesn't have to,
Okay.
it doesn't have to be just a number one.
Oh, you got a sequel, don't you?
okay, this is not a sequel, but
No, but
Anyway,
you
please, yeah,
you
go
just
ahead.
highlighted it several times, and I wanted to clarify that I don't remember that being part of the stipulation. So
Yeah.
feel free to use sequels.
okay.
Stipulation.
Think about it, but
It
so
was
my first movie.
Disney animation originals. That's why
if it's
I
a
keep saying
if
that.
so a Disney original means it didn't come from anyone else's property. That's all.
Okay, so if I'm gonna say the title name, and if it's not on the list, you guys can just say next.
No, it's if you say it, it's on the list.
Yeah,
Let's
Okay.
go.
damn right.
Okay, so my movie is Inside Out
Oh yes, I love Inside Out.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was a great movie.
because I
I
love that
showing
movie.
my daughter that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't think I would like it at first when I first watched it, but then I like cried through it.
I wasn't sure
Yeah.
about the premise either. That's another thing with Pixar is sometimes when they advertise their
very well
movie,
done.
I'm like, well, that looks dumb. When they're like Cars, I was like, well, that looks stupid.
Right, I was like inside people's heads,
Really?
like that's dumb. Like,
Yeah.
how are they gonna do it?
Yeah, and then they
But it was
did.
so good,
I
and
loved
all the
it.
different emotions.
love
Like, I love
I
it,
like
love
it.
it, love it, love it.
I like it.
I like it
I like
a
it a
lot.
lot. I was like,
Yeah, it was.
I
it
love
was
that
so
movie. I
good.
rewatched it like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, I've seen it at least that much because my daughter enjoyed it. When I found it, I had never seen it, and I was like, "Oh well, this sounds interesting. Let's check it out." And she
Yeah.
was so young that she barely paid attention to it. But I was like, "Oh." I
I
was
think that's a
really
movie that
intrigued
is
by the message,
probably-
so I was like, "I'm gonna
Great.
keep showing her this," and
It
she
was so good.
grew to love it. So
I love it.
It's probably better absorbed by older children. Like I think it is.
Probably.
Right.
It's aiming towards like the preteen to
Yeah.
teen area to help just understand like what the fuck's going on in your head. Like because isn't it like they're moving? Was there a divorce in there? There was just a lot of
No,
life
not a
shit.
There wasn't a
divorce, but, like,
divorce, but
she's
yeah,
got a
they
new
move across
school,
the
like,
country. She
Riley's
goes from like
going through
That's what it
Montana,
was.
from like Montana or somewhere where they play ice hockey a lot, to somewhere
San Diego,
to,
I think.
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Yeah, because they're on a
Yeah.
hill like this.
Yeah,
in their
the little
house.
city,
Yeah,
and they got like broccoli pizza.
yeah.
And she was like,
broccoli.
"My life sucks.
Yeah.
like this is awful."
I mean, when you're she like 8, 9, maybe 11. I don't know. She
Yeah, it
wasn't.
was. It
Because
was.
she started to like boys at the end, so
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, my
Okay, so
my guess is somewhere
12,
between 11,
11,
yeah,
12.
11 and
Yeah,
12.
I guess like preteen.
Not yet teen. Yeah, it's kind of how I feel about
right
it.
in there, yeah, 7 to 12. That's what I said.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was
No, go ahead.
no.
Largely
Depends on the age.
Trying to
entertaining.
think of other words to say for it, but
It's moving.
there was
It
an
really
adventure
is.
in it too, and the message was so good. I feel like it is for like a little bit of like not older kids, but like that area because it was like it like healed your inner child a little bit
Right.
watching it. I feel like
And I think that a lot of cartoons start older and older kids watch it. But this one being designed for like the preteen, it's still enjoyable for older teens. Like I
Bro,
think if your
I-
first experience was to
I might
see it at
watch it
17,
again,
yeah, it's
like,
just
Oh yeah,
Soon.
yeah.
I
would
love
re-
that, yeah.
It was almost on my list, honestly. So,
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Louis
100%.
Black as Anger.
So good, dude. So good.
Love it.
And I don't know if it was Janine Garofalo, but it sure as hell looked like her as Sadness. So,
Yeah, that was actually another one that my daughter and I saw in theaters, and yeah, I fucking loved it. I had a good time with it. I think I've only seen it that one time, so I don't remember a lot of the plot points from it. But I remember that my enjoyment for it was incredibly high.
yeah.
Do you have anything else to add about Inside, Joe?
other than bing bong, no, I'm good. Yeah.
Who's your
'Cause-
friend that likes to play?
Yeah.
Bing bong,
Bong,
bing
bing
bong.
bong.
I don't know the rest of the words. Bing bong. I watch it again though.
So
it's stuck in my head.
far, we've got 2 Pixar movies. So I think I think in that vein, I didn't think I was going to.
Yeah, we don't have to go hard Disney.
I didn't think I was going
animation.
to. Well, I just, because there are other titles that I was going to talk about, I wasn't going to mention a Pixar one.
Yeah.
But there was one that I actually thought was unlike the others. And I feel like, and it's a newer one, probably the newest. It's definitely the
I
newest
think
of
that's
the
definitely
two.
my only Pixar one.
But I feel it largely went unwatched, and as such, then went incredibly underappreciated. And so
Yeah.
that's why I want to bring it up. And that is the one that came out streaming only during COVID, and that was Soul with Jamie Foxx.
Soul, okay, yes,
That
I've
mo-
not seen that.
That
I tried to
movie
watch it, I
is
fell asleep.
so fucking
Yeah.
good.
I put it on, I fell asleep, and I just haven't put it back on. No fault to the movie.
Here's the thing.
I was tired.
It is very different from other Pixar movies. It's similar in the sense that it approaches death, right?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to
the
see
jazz
it. Yeah.
musician, and it approaches his,
I remember it a little bit.
and the music in it, as generally speaking, in a Disney
The
movie of any
animation
kind,
style was different than anything I'd really
It
seen.
is
Like the way they
fabulous.
approached the story and the characters of
So it
didn't see
doesn't
enough
have.
of it,
I'm not
but-
saying it's not funny, but it doesn't have that overall joyful feeling that a typical Pixar or Disney movie has.
It's more moving.
Yes, it's because it approaches death like head on, and I
Right.
don't think it's for the youngest of kids. And since most of the time that's what animation, that's what they hope for with those
Right.
ticket prices. It's for a more developed person.
And I do think that, like you said, the way they released it, I do feel that like they knew it was during COVID. People are at home, parents are at home with their kids. It was really meant to be a family type story, like for like allowable for kids to watch, but more so like, hey, maybe this is a way for you to tell your kids something. Because there was a lot of people dying at that point. You know what I mean? Not to be a buzzkill or anything, but there was a lot
No,
of
but that would have just been, when you think about it, it's still perfect
grandparents
timing
and-
because they couldn't have planned that when they started the production of
No,
that. So
right.
that would have just been
just like
happenstance.
sound marketing, happenstance, and
But
but you're
it-
spending that kind of money. You
I'm
still
very
make the
certain that
educated decision.
it didn't do well. It wasn't the only Pixar movie that came out during that time, but that one I often don't hear people talk about. And if the 2 out of the 3 of us sitting here have only seen a part of it or not at all,
definitely check that out.
That's
Yeah,
why.
I'm gonna-
That's
yeah, I'm
why
definitely
I
gonna
want
watch
to
it.
make that my
Rewatched-
recommendation.
rewatched
So, well, that was actually a really good discussion about Sunshine, and that brings us to our first 3 picks. I think we're going to take a quick break so that we can visit the men's and ladies' room and get ourselves some refreshments and such. So we will see you guys in just a moment. Before we tap out, just a reminder, it was The Incredibles was Joe's first recommendation.
That's right.
Kayden brought us Inside Out, and then I just recommended Soul. So we started with a trifecta of Pixar movies.
Yep.
Nice.
So
All beautiful films. Yeah.
we will see you guys in just a moment.
Peace.
All right. We are
That sounds
braked.
delicious.
We are rested. We've pottied and we are back.
We've bodied.
All right, so we went down the first 3 titles that we've talked about already, so we'll just go ahead and get right into it with Joe.
yeah.
Joe, let's bring us back. What is your
My
second
number 2.
recommendation
Number
for a
2.
Disney animation
Doodoo
film
paper. No.
today?
Hot. Shoot a drum roll.
There was no number 2s.
Oh.
This is one. It's more recent, but I'm just gonna get it out of the way because it came out and at a time when my daughter really enjoyed it and kind of forced me to connect with it.
Aw.
Sure.
No, I'm kidding. I enjoyed it, so I didn't mind at all that Moana actually.
You know what? I was gonna say Moana.
And for several reasons, it's a really good movie.
Shining.
But for
So shy.
my number one reason is because I am in love with Alan Tudyk.
Oh my God, the chicken.
And the way he brought this chicken to life, y'all, if you ain't seen it, let me
Watch
tell
it.
you,
Watch it.
it is so good.
Yeah.
And you get a
I like-
chance to hear The Rock sing.
If you can call that
Oh,
singing.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Listen.
It was like rap singing.
It was something.
but not all
singing.
the way.
Yeah,
It was
a bit of
something.
It
a
was really
staccato,
fast
yeah.
talking.
Yeah,
music,
well, I mean,
really
look how
good.
Robin Williams got away with it. Don't hate.
No,
No,
Robin
no,
Williams
no,
could
no,
sing,
I don't
buddy.
think I could
That's
do it
not a
like The Rock
comparison at all. Now, Dwayne, we're not hating. You pulled it
No.
off. You pulled it off. It
Great
worked.
performance,
you
Dwayne.
figured it out.
Thanks for listening to the podcast.
with millions of dollars towards vocal coaches and people that
Right. Yeah.
Ain't no need. You got auto-tune now.
Who knows what?
I was going to say it, but I didn't want to.
They definitely
Say auto-tune
auto-tune
is
that
a
shit.
beautiful thing.
Yeah,
It's
Well, I
used
mean,
so much.
he's a
Like,
very
it's just-
talented man,
it's
but not
used.
everybody can do everything.
You know
right?
what?
So,
But he was in Moana, so
yeah.
go ahead.
What I love about Moana is, and something I love about a lot of the newer Disney movies, is they go away from the typical, like, growing up, young girls typically just have the fucking princess to look forward to. And
Yeah.
Moana is a whole different approach to a female character arc that...
Because she was, in all technicalities, a princess, but she was
they always
also
are.
a chief. She became the
Right.
chief of the village. So in her tribe's way, that was a princess, but still a leader, so a queen.
But I think the story
true.
the story arc itself was still self-discovery.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
It stuck to like the classic like princess storyline of like princess like damsel in distress a little bit.
Little
but then
bit, but
like
she
wasn't
she rescued
saved
herself.
Exactly. She wasn't rescued by a prince.
right.
Which good.
Exactly.
Good message for the little girl.
Exactly. And then
The demon underworld.
yeah, they
part.
say the personification of Mother Earth, and it's just
Yes,
it's
gorgeous.
that's a
So
wonderful.
good.
I enjoyed that one a lot. In fact, I
I
think
loved that movie.
I watched it only because you were watching it with
with Livy.
and I watched it in pieces at first because you come in and I've probably seen the shiny crab sequence like so many times.
That's so good, dude.
So many times. I forget the name of the comedian who plays that, but that's my favorite role.
I always want to say Gerard, but it's Gerald or like he's a Kiwi. He's from New Zealand, so he's got some odd Kiwi name. But he is hilarious.
Ultimately, I mean, you know, I'm personally on the side that, you know, the Rock is capable of anything. So
Yeah.
He can't sing, but he can pull it off. Oh, Jermaine Clement.
Jermaine Clement
was the crab. Yeah, and he is just hilarious.
Do you know that they're doing a live action remake of this?
Are they actually though?
Yes.
Well,
With Zendaya
I
in
did
it?
not know, but
Because
know.
I clicked on it this morning to look at the link, and my phone told me that I got a bug attached
So
to it.
right now,
So I think it's Cap.
now the only one
you think
IMDb
that's Cap?
shows.
Straight
I think
cap.
it's Cat. I think it's someone made an AI
Yo,
teaser trailer,
that's possible.
and it's awful.
So IMDb
And they should not
shows
lie to us like that if they're
Dwayne
not being
Johnson, but
serious.
I have heard from other credible
so
sources
That's what
that
I was-
it is in development.
In development.
But, so here's my
Really?
thought
That
on it.
doesn't
Like,
mean somebody didn't send you a boofed AI.
I was
Right.
just looking at. I was
But
reading
the-
articles, and I found one on YouTube.
Yeah,
but it was
Right, so
clearly
there's still
AI.
fake stuff out
July
there. right?
2025.
People are fast now, man.
I mean,
Really?
here's
Shit.
June. I'm sorry, June. It says June 27, 2025. But here's the thing: we all know that there is no date right now on anything because no
Everything's
one's
on
fucking
hold.
working on
Everything
anything.
is paused.
No dates. There's no dates.
No,
So-
it's getting pushed back. We just don't know till when.
Right. So that aside, yeah, right now the only name attached to it is Dwayne Johnson. So nothing's been done with it
My
yet.
sister-in-law.
but They've got a couple of live actions that are out there. There's a couple of other podcasts that I listen to where some of
taking
the
the
writers are on
family
it,
to
and there are some things in development. But
local
this one for
pantries.
sure is in development. I think it's
crap.
too soon. I think it's like it's just an
Yeah.
early. I can't be wholeheartedly against like the remake of The Lion King, the remake of Aladdin are generations away from the originals.
Cinderella.
It still
Yeah, it-
feels
Beauty and the Beast.
It allows those stories to remain relevant.
So I
and-
can't be, but Moana was
viewable.
2016, so that's 9
I was
years.
about to say that. It
Yeah.
feels like it's like the Frozen,
I
like
think
Elsa
they're full-
Anna time,
yeah.
and they're not making remakes of that
No,
already because it's
what
still
they're
fresh.
doing is saying this made so much money. We
Right.
need to revisit that monster and
Right.
try to reattain. And I don't think they're realizing that like there's a reason the Gap works because of the
Right.
nostalgia and the new
Right.
generation.
Well, what's
It's the
crazy-
That's what I was
parents.
gonna say.
It's like
Nostalgia.
it's like my kids. You know that is when that came out. She wasn't even born yet, so it was a couple of years before she saw it, and that's when I first saw it.
Right.
So, like, I'm not going to want to
What's-
show her a new version of it already.
What's crazy to
Right.
me?
Let her watch
What's
the
crazy to me is we're talking about a company that has had its own
Isn't that why it's
individual,
animated, so it's timeless?
but it's got its own individual. Well, no, because I'm sure, as we'll talk about with some of the other titles on the list, animation changes, right?
Yeah,
and
so
sometimes
originally that was
interest
the
changes
conception,
from that
but-
as well. And I can see that with computer animation. Eventually, computer animation of old is going to look fucking old.
Right. Well, look at how seldom they made animated movies when we were growing up because they took so long to do.
Correct.
And they lived a lot longer, you know?
Well,
I was
in
watching
addition
Disney
to that-
movies from my parents' childhood when I was a kid.
Sometimes, and this is what I'm going to get to. So let me get this point out. Disney has marketed themselves, so they're celebrating this year their 100th year. And in that year, in those years, a lot of the things, like some of the things that were old, we got to experience because they re-released it in theaters.
Right.
Disney is famous for their vault,
Yes.
right?
They're always unlocking
There's a
the vault,
there's a
re-releasing
limited
the
release
DVDs
of when the print is there, and
when
then
they're streaming it
after
now.
that it's so right now there's more. They don't really have the vault. But let's take that strategy. They had the vault strategy, which meant that like we had this thing out. It was out for 20 years, and then we lock it up for however long they did, and then they re-released it. And now the same property they're able to make new money on with new youth.
Yeah.
We're talking about a 9-year gap now about a movie that is already readily accessible on their own streaming site and still possibly in a Blu-ray store wherever one of those still exists.
Right, because
and they're going with it. So they're going
they're out
against
there.
their own strategy
Yes.
in a way that
100%.
is already burning one of their other proproperties.
And they
Marvel
keep
burnout
doing
is
things
a
like
real
this.
thing.
Yeah, they keep doing this burnout thing. Yeah, and I think with the Vault, they were even on the cusp of doing that because there was when they started doing that was in like the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's re-release this, and then well, you know what? We will release it just on DVD for a year, and then they market something 2 years later. Now we're going to throw it back
Get it
in
now
theaters
while
for a
it's
different
only a-
anniversary.
yep.
So you're talking about 20-year, then they do a 25-year, then they want to do a 30-year.
It's too much.
And I get
Yeah.
it. There's more kids every 5 years, different generation. I get, but it's too much. It's a burnout. Mm-hmm. It's a burning out the ball. The burning out Marvel. Stop acquiring. Let art be art. It doesn't have to be full business. Give them the money and let them do it their own way. And say, hey, maybe Disney owns this, but you don't have to do it the Disney way. That's the way to make it manageable,
Yeah.
sustainable, to allow new stories to actually thrive rather than regurgitate everything that was ever enjoyable to the point where it's just mush.
I was never
Sorry,
really a
that
fan
was a
of the vault, but
Let it all
I
out.
do think, and we've talked about this on this show a lot. The oversaturation of media. I think with oversaturation, there's so much media out there that you are going to have blind spots. You're going to have movies that you're just never going to see because there's so much.
Yeah.
So by taking something off the market, that does increase its desire. Like if something you can't have, you want more, right? So then when they release it, now it gives you that extra motivation. Like, oh shit, I can watch it now finally, and for 5-10 years. So
Right, it was some marketing genius
we
that they
might benefit.
overdid
We
and
might
burned
benefit
out.
from bringing some vault stuff, back into
As long as
marketing
there's
strategy.
like some kind of gentleman's agreement or some kind of like limitation on like,
Yeah.
let's not do this every 5 years. Every decade's enough.
Yeah, because
You
it
know
does
what I
feel
mean?
like
You're
a money
$1 billion
vampire.
corporation. You don't need to have your percentages don't have to go up every fucking quarter. Your
Right.
people need to be able to survive and enjoy stuff. I could
So-
never fathom taking my daughter to Disney World like my parents did when I was young because it costs so fucking much. It's like a mortgage,
ridiculous.
dude.
Yeah.
It's so expensive. I spent so much money just on food at Disney World.
Oh yeah.
Because they have all the fun treats.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to all the parks, but there was a different time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I was yours, almost 20 years ago, I was able to, and I was living in Florida too at the time, so there was that. But like, we still like to go to Cedar Point, but that's almost that's unmanageable, especially if you have kids. It's just
It's crazy.
and
I
then
remember even when I was
these
younger, it was
fast track
cheaper to go to
bracelets.
Disney.
So even
Yeah.
like if you don't spend an extra $50 a person to jump to the front of the line, then you just don't get seen. Like I'm 4 rides a day. I'm not paying $400 for 2
Yeah,
people.
but I don't even
for
want
4
to talk
rides a
about
day.
that because everyone buys a ride pass, and now you're just in a different line.
It's
so
stupid.
fucking
Yes, that's
stupid.
exactly what I'm
So
saying.
yeah, I don't want to get into that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Moana?
I love Moana. I don't think they should remake it yet. I think they have
Let it ride. It was done right.
right. They have The Rock attached to it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they know if they want him to be in it, they need to do it now.
Before he gets too old,
Exactly.
Because he's a demigod, he can't age.
Now,
Exactly.
they got
But why does it have to be The Rock? Why can't it
they
be
have
someone
body
else?
scans of him, and he's already signed the contract.
No.
I don't want. But we're talking about Disney here.
But
I don't
true.
agree with it.
Right. Like if they're gonna make it now or in 10 years, I'd rather they do AI.
I'm not bitching about what they did to make sure Carrie Fisher died.
I just don't think he has to be in it. I think the Maui character and his interpretation was beautiful, but a second interpretation of it would be beneficial.
I would love to see it. No offense to The Rock, but I would love to see something
because it's that type of character. Because it doesn't even have to be Rock-like.
As long as it's not Jason Momoa, because that's just The Rock.
Do it would be like it's that type of character that could survive in multiple different interpretations and benefit from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see if Zendaya is attached to it as well.
So is that the word right now? Is that
that's what I saw in the fake AI teaser trailer and a fake link that
if it was a teaser trailer, then it was definitely not.
It was so bad. Yeah, you guys should look it up. It's on YouTube.
That's crazy. I'll check that out.
I don't need to get
these fan edits.
You just told us there's a virus embedded.
Listen,
no. So it was so weird because I watched it on YouTube and then I had another ad pop up on my Facebook and I was like, oh, I just looked at this and I went to show my mom. And the second I clicked it, I was like, "This is not right." And I
back out.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah,
but
no,
I liked the original one.
Be careful out there. I cannot tell you the number of times that I see on my feeds where people will share something like, "Oh my God, Spider-Man, whatever." Right. I didn't even know about it. Like, dude, you're the biggest Marvel fan ever. You're just gonna post that shit instead of just Googling it or checking IMDb and seeing what's in process right now.
Random spam.
What was it recently? Oh, it was a Back to the Future 4 and everyone lost their shit. So I was like, there's no way. I just quickly Googled it.
First of all,
I was like, false.
We've experienced at least 3 different Back to the Future 4 spoofs in our time, if you remember correctly. So they do it every couple years and I'm never falling for it.
Just do your research.
Never falling for it. Not until I see it on a marquee and I go buy the damn ticket. Am I going to fall for that shit?
Facts.
So, Kayden, the wheel has turned back to you.
It is back to me.
So, what Disney animation movie do you want to talk about next?
Okay, I was debating talking about this because I have seen it a lot, but I really liked The Nightmare Before Christmas. I still love that movie.
That is an
love
amazing
that movie.
Film.
And
I didn't even consider it.
Very not Disney, right?
It's not even just a movie in my household. It's
not. Neither in mine either. We have the stuffed animals,
Yeah.
Lock, Shock, and Barrel.
Yeah.
I think in the Boogeyman and Sally.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened to Jack. We had a Jack stuffed animal. He's gone. But we keep him up all the time in our house.
Yep.
So when you get the urge to watch the movie, is it a Christmas movie in your mind?
It's
is it
both.
a anytime movie?
It's Halloween and Christmas.
So I always watch it around Thanksgiving. I'm like undecided.
You're like, I'm gonna meet in the middle.
Yeah, I'm like I treat it as both. It kind of takes me out of the Christmas, out of the Halloween season, and moves me into the Christmas.
My wife
spirit.
and I has had this discussion once, especially when we were forming the household of our family, right?
Yeah.
And it was, well, we love the movie, so every single holiday that's represented in the trees, we watch this movie.
There's Easter.
I was just about to mention
because we're not Christian, right? We're not
doors.
Christian, right? So yeah, but she was raised Catholic and I was raised Methodist, so there is that nostalgia to those, and we don't want to not expose our daughter to. And we're pagan, so most of those are around pagan rituals and festivals anyway.
All of Christmases,
yeah. Christmas, Easter, Ishtar, so all this stuff, yeah. So it's all incorporated into how we raise our daughter, and that movie's kind of a pinnacle of it. It wasn't planned that way, but it does. It's ever present.
That puts me 3 out of 3 because my daughter and I both loved it. Her mother was a huge fan. I was a fan before, we had gotten together, but even in our separate ways, like, just that movie just stands. It's important. Everything, because one, it's like the pinnacle of what the Tim Burton
Halloween.
visual presence is. The music is amazing. The Nightmare Before Christmas revisited album with like My Chemical Romance and Korn and Manson
they're all covering the album.
It's the entire album. Entire album.
Well,
Danny
to be fair, I
Elfman.
think you were in grade school when this happened.
Probably.
Yes.
I know
yeah.
my
So
dad
it
has
came
heard
out.
it.
So, but I knew about it because Stella had found it, and it was because it came. It was an anniversary release, probably 15 years or something. Anniversary release of the movie, and so they did a double album of it, and it's like I think Plain White Tees are out. There's just a shitload of emo.
Whoever was popular back then, really topping the charts for the alternative.
I mean,
music.
it fits.
Yeah.
For the Night
It's
Before
also
and the way they did it, because as you said, Danny Elfman curated the thing. Like,
he sings in it.
Yeah,
So he does
worked with
all
these
the Jack
bands
stuff.
Yeah,
Wasn't he he was doing concerts and he was performing all of his live music?
So he's a
recently?
vocalist.
He's done that,
He was in a band in the 80s called Oingo Boingo.
Oingo Boingo, good old Oingo.
And I think one of his first, I don't remember if Pee Wee Herman might have been his first feature. I don't know for sure what his first
Paul
feature
Rubens.
was. But he works a lot with Tim Burton. And this was, I think he came back as a vocalist. I don't remember if he was in the film or not. I believe he is the singing voice of Jack, if I'm not
He
mistaken.
is, yes.
But yeah, it's
Just a great movie.
what I love about you bringing this
claymation
up. What I love about you bringing this up, Kayden, is I didn't consider it because I had forgotten that it was a Disney movie, but it's clearly an animation, and I love that it's represented here because it's
Claymation.
stop motion 100% of the way. And the DVD that I had gotten at one point had a behind the scenes featurette, and I remember this one shot.
You can find this on
whole table.
You can stream this on
of
Disney
just,
Plus now. Yeah,
just little jackheads with
different expressions.
every different expression on it.
my
that's
wife
what,
has
sucked me into
one of
it.
the 11-inch and it's got 5 or 10 of the
No
heads
kidding.
or whatever. Yeah,
That is awesome.
yeah.
Where did
that
she
you can.
find that?
She
I need
bought
to
it.
message
She's had it her whole
wife.
life. It's got dust on it. It's
Wow.
followed us
That's
everywhere.
so
It just
cool.
it
Yeah.
sits on a shelf. We have a little lamp with a shelf, and it's like
Stop
you got
motion-
Edward Scissorhands.
Stop motion animation is one of those types of animation that I think is going to stand the test of time because you're
100%.
always going to see it as real life, and even if it's
harder
jittery,
to get the budget for it, and now they
Right.
found animation,
even-
actual computer ways to
this
make
is what I
it.
was
Like
going to say.
Coraline
Even
was not actual
Nightmare
stop
Before
motion,
Christmas.
was
If
it?
you
I thought it was.
Oh, Coraline was, but
Coraline's what?
was actual stop motion.
Yes, Yeah.
But
yes.
it had
As was,
portions
Corpse
of it.
Bride.
Yeah, but
Corpse Bride was good too.
I was taking it out of the Tim Burton realm for that statement that I don't see much of it without Tim Burton, but I guess unless it's Neil Gaiman or him.
No,
But-
you got,
but
and it's
there
not
are
a lot,
also-
but they have it. They
there
just
are a
there's a
few.
new Chicken Run movie, but
Oh,
what's the name
yeah,
of that
Wallace
animation
and
studio.
Gromit,
Yes,
yeah.
that animation
I
studio.
love those guys.
They did the pirate movie.
Yeah.
They're still out there, but
The British
but it's still
ones,
a strong statement. It's
It
not
is.
funded.
It's not the same.
It's
But
too
there
time
are
consuming
animation
and it
styles
costs too
through
much.
and so there are animation styles through a computer that you can do to mimic that. But I don't
No,
think
it's
it
not
has
the same.
the same.
It's never the same,
feel.
and that's
It
what
will
I was
never-
saying. But even now,
Studios
Nightmare
don't
Before
want to spend the
Christmas.
money on it. Yeah.
Nightmare Before
Yeah, it
Christmas
takes
has
so
a
long.
dated look to it in the sense that if you compare it to something like some of the newer claymation or
Well, because of the
computer
lighting
claymation
techniques and
just the
ability-
fluidity of the movement,
and the ability of post production,
the AI and post production to exactly.
capture instead
So
of
yes,
film.
outside of that, it's going to have an old era look to it. But I think the
Dude.
story. I think this is a movie that we were all, even though we were all born in a different
I have
small
such a
close
deep connection to
generation.
that movie. Yeah.
Even though it's a small generation, generations beyond us are going to still
I mean,
it's
not
going to be
only
like
from my
the
childhood,
Timeless.
Right.
1,000,000%.
yeah, and it's not only from my childhood and from my family with my daughter and my wife, but I've you ever watched that movie on acid? Blow your fucking mind.
oh, I'm sure.
I'm telling you,
I'm sure.
I saw some kind of deity.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's already so insane, sober.
Yeah, it was fun, man. Let me tell you. That
With
night,
the bugs at the end coming out of
That-
the.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
don't
with
get me
Oogie
started.
Boogie.
This is gonna be,
Yeah.
it was.
I'm the boogeyman.
Yeah, dude, the music in that movie, the music in that movie is classic.
Yeah.
There is just
So good.
Sing every
everything about the songs in that. Wow! It's fun. It's
go home and
repeatable.
rewatch
It's it calls to you. You know,
It comes
this
on
is
in my
Halloween.
house
This
at
is
least
Halloween.
5 times a
Halloween.
year.
Halloween, and you want to do the voices for it always. You can't just.
Yeah.
Everybody
yeah.
love it now. Yeah, my daughter tells me, Dad, shh. Shut up.
It's
Gotta
just too
sing
fun.
it, though.
It's too fun to perform.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got it.
I want to have a
She does
Night
it
Before
too,
Christmas
so.
sing-along party.
Oh, 100%.
That'd
Do it
be
Rocky
so
Horror style.
Why don't
fun.
they? Dude,
What
we should
the
just
fuck?
We
You
should
just-
We should just
just
rent
might have
out a
done something.
theater. We should just rent out a theater and start it, and it'll become a craze.
It'll become a thing.
Because there's
I'll do it.
how many?
Dress up,
Yeah.
sing, and
Everybody
what the
pick-
townsfolk, everybody.
It only takes the first one for it to become a
Oh
tradition.
man.
We
After
could have-
4, it's tradition.
Oh, that would be so good.
We should
we could
totally
have fog
do that.
machines when
Oh, hell
there's
yes,
like
we do.
The,
We got
the
lights.
swamp when he comes out of the.
We got everything we need. I got all that stuff already. It's in the trailer right outside.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, jeez. Well, I mean, but I think that just
The fountain.
puts the period on why it's so important, and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't think this is a title that too many people don't know about, but I think it's probably in that era of like Star Wars where people know it exists, but maybe haven't watched it.
Watch
Or
the
have
whole
know,
thing.
yeah, like
Yeah.
they could
Or
possibly.
they know it through just the marketing and have never
That's what
actually
I'm
sat
saying.
down.
That's
and
what I'm saying. The
and
presence of it.
appreciated
Hot
the-
Topic has lived on the Nightmare Before
And I'm
Christmas
sorry,
time for
this thing is a
Forever.
juggernaut. Okay, Tim
still there.
Burton
But
is
it-
a
yeah,
huge part in
you
a
can
lot
guarantee it.
of cinema, and it's because of this. Like it's not just this, but this is that single moment where everything in the film universe, especially for Tim Burton's life, changed. Where he went from an animator to a director and became an unstoppable
Well, I mean,
force.
he was definitely a director before this. This was
Right.
definitely.
But this,
He had all of Batman before that.
Yeah, but this was that real. That and Batman. They
I think
happened.
that was. I think that it's more of a
It's because it was his. It was
Yeah.
his baby, right? That's when the game changed, right? Yes, he'd become a director, but this is when he became Tim Burton,
Yeah.
right? The legacy that everyone knows as Tim Burton, and everything. And thrilled that was the moment,
Yeah.
the culmination.
So Nightmare Before Christmas. For my next choice, I'm going to mention one that I didn't think I was going to mention, and I'm just worried that maybe I won't mention one that I really would want to mention, but I'm almost certain I mentioned it on a previous episode. So I want to add a new title, but this is one that I almost wouldn't have put on, and it's because as a child I didn't really like it because it was a bit frightening and it was a bit different from what you're accustomed to with friendly cartoons.
Okay.
And it's a movie from 1977 called The Rescuers.
Oh yeah,
Okay, so I'm
I've
getting a
never
look of
heard of it.
Yeah.
I love this.
So the Rescuers-
I grew up with that. I love that.
The Rescuers are a husband and wife team of mice or rats.
Chipmunks,
Are they chipmunks? I don't think they're chipmunks.
hamsters,
But they
Rodent?
rodent, vermin. Yes,
A vermin. Excuse me.
a vermin. No.
so let's see. Ava Gabor and Bob Newhart were voices in that. So it's two mice of the Rescue Aid Society. That's what it was. They searched for a little girl kidnapped by unscrupulous treasure hunters. That is as simple as I remember it. Okay, but so the evil villain, I don't remember her name, Madame Medusa. Madame Medusa was this, as a child, frightening bitch of a cunt.
I mean, the name itself sounds intimidating.
It's so and as a child, like I said, I didn't really care if there was a sequel, The Rescuers Down Under, and that was a lot more fun. The Rescuers went for another kidnapped child down in Australia. You had an albatross.
That one I'm more familiar
You had
with.
an albatross, and that's the one that I was gonna mention, but I was like, you know what? I'll bet you, as an adult, going back for a rewatch on The Rescuers versus The Rescuers Down Under, that there's probably something in The Rescuers that is just so, because it's dark. It's very dark. The animation style wasn't the vibrant colors that you're accustomed to. They're in a swamp. There's this woman in her.
And I remember seeing both of them as a child. So, wasn't this a crossover? Wasn't some of it live action, some of it animation?
No.
It was
But
just
it
that
was-
old animation style.
Remember,
that
they do
felt-
reference. They
yeah.
reference. So old animation, if you don't know, and they still do it today, but just to a different degree, they would photograph or film actors, not the actor, just an animator in the office, like, hey man, could you throw a baseball for me? And then they videotape it, and then they would sketch over the top of those to give themselves live action reference in the animation. Also, something that was commonly done, and you can look up on YouTube, I think both Jungle Book and
Christopher
possibly no.
Robin
Yes,
Winnie
yes,
the Pooh.
for Winnie the Pooh. They use and there's other ones too because
Plenty of plates.
they take the plates and the movement and then they just animate the new characters over the top.
Right,
of
the
it. So
background would be different.
There are whole
the
scenes.
action would be different. But
There are
the
whole scenes in
movement's
some of
the
these
same.
movies that are duplicated
The
because
blocking is the same.
yes, ooh yeah, a little bit of foreshadow. But I highly recommend it. It is definitely like I wouldn't recommend it showing to like younger siblings of yours. But if you are a grown person listening to this, I highly recommend revisiting it because I think as a child's story, it's probably something different than what you'd anticipate it to be, and you'll garner something from it that is just unique to like. It's probably the most Don Bluth that Disney ever was.
Yeah. Oh, Don Bluth was so good. Too.
Yeah, I wish we could
you
do
know
a
what?
discussion
I
on that.
cannot believe we should just do.
We can't. He only has 10
Don-
movies.
Well, we can do that.
We can talk about him,
Yeah.
but there's only 10.
Okay.
But yes, so
He was.
so I take it you probably don't have a whole lot to add because you haven't seen it.
I will add that I need to watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would recommend it, and it's honestly probably been since childhood since I've seen it. So I would not at all be
100%, yeah.
disappointed if that one ends up our roll tonight. Which I did not grab the goddamn dice when we break, so I'll have to step away. They're here. No, they're here.
Oh, they're here.
They're
Okay.
here. I was just supposed to grab them out of my bag at break, but I didn't. So Joe, do you have anything else to add to Rescuers?
Just that Don Bluth is an American hero. He's a genius of a
He is.
storyteller and animator, and that you should watch all 10 of his movies.
Yeah.
And revel in his brilliance. It was a different time, and it was a different world when it came to animation.
Yeah, we'll do
and
that.
he
We'll do that
was-
one time. I guess maybe the picks will just be the ones that you want
he
to
was
talk
a
about, and eventually
huge-
you run
but
out.
Yeah, he was a huge part of Americana and the shaping of it back
You're
in
talking
those.
Don Bluth.
Yeah,
Yeah. We'll because that's
yeah,
interesting.
that's it.
We'll
yeah,
talk about
that's
that.
a different. But yeah, Don Bluth's amazing. That's
but
it. That's
but
what I
nothing
have
to do
add.
with nothing to do with the Rescuers though, other than my comparison.
I enjoyed it as a child, but it was dark, and I liked dark movies as a kid. I really did. Like I liked Legend and stuff like that.
so while Joe tells us what his next pick is, I'm gonna grab the dice.
Okay.
All right. So, well, I have two more here, and we do have two more left. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I have two more that are Disney. At least I think this one's Disney. But yeah, it's definitely Disney. In fact, it's Don Bluth. So we'll just go there. And I'll save that other one for honorable mentions. I'm always torn because this is it's the one I want to say I enjoy more than these other two, but they're not Disney related at all.
Doesn't qualify.
It's not Disney related at all.
Didn't
So,
make the cut.
Pete's Dragon, 1977. Now it's had a remake. It's had a new like the live action animation, but that's not the one I'm talking about. I'm talking about 1977's Disney's Pete's Dragon
The OG version.
that I loved as a child. Yes. Which was animation and live action crossover.
Mm-hmm.
But it was one of the first times that it had ever been done. It was revolutionary.
I think Disney was probably the first to do it. I can't say for certain if that's a fact.
I don't know that it was the first one, but I know that that Disney was the first to do it. I just don't know which movie they used it in. So there's that. But yeah, Pete's Dragon is...
So tell I don't remember a lot about Pete's Dragon.
I
So
was gonna say the same thing.
could you tell us a little bit about what you remember of Pete's Dragon?
Okay, so the dragon's name is Elliot. He's a magical and sometimes mischievous dragon. He causes chaos in a Maine fishing village. So it's set in Maine. Mm-hmm. And there is an orphan, a young orphan named Pete, who escapes evil foster parents and lives in the wilderness with his supposedly imaginary or invisible dragon.
Gotcha.
Right? And somebody finds him and takes him in that is caring and all these things, but the dragon is reluctant. Mm-hmm. And Pete doesn't want to leave his friend alone. And actually, the remake, the live action, was done really well for the adaptation, but that's not what we're here talking about.
Not the remakes.
Like that's why I was torn. Do I do the other one that isn't Disney instead of this because it has a remake? because but no, go watch the original one. It's different. It was moving, and it connects you. Like, I mean, watch both of them, honestly, and see the differences for yourself and how connecting to an audience can be different in a different era, right?
Right.
Because that's interesting to me. Because when the new one came out, I was like, is the old one still on here? And it was. So I watched them both. And it was, over 2 years ago, whenever that last one came out.
2016.
Okay, so it wasn't then. It was whenever Disney Plus dropped. So during COVID, when it probably, But yeah, regardless, I watched both of them, and I definitely made sure I tried to show my daughter at least the original one.
How'd she take it?
Because I wasn't sure if the new one was going to be scarier. She got bored and went off and did her own thing, as she often does.
Yeah.
She enjoyed what she was around to watch, but she's pretty self-sufficient at 6.
But it's not all animated, and that's why I asked, because because I think that's why I didn't watch a lot of them, because they were shown to me too young.
But see, for me as a kid, that's what connected me to it. Like, because I was basically the same age as a kid whenever I saw it, so I didn't see it when it was. I mean, I was born in '82, so.
Right.
It was already old. This is what I say. Like, there are old Disney movies that related to somebody in my life that somehow I was shown this, or I found it on my own. Who knows?
Yeah.
We didn't have cable, so that's unlikely. We did have cable at a certain time, but like not young enough for where I'm talking about.
Yeah, so I don't remember enough about this movie to
probably a cousin,
pontificate at all. Like,
cousin
I remember
had a
some
VHS
frames
or something,
I remember some frames and such from it, but this is definitely one that I would have to revisit.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So, nice pick, Joe.
Thank you.
Kayden, looking at you.
All right, my next pick is the original 101 Dalmatians.
Oh, good movie. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I didn't really appreciate it that much when I was younger, but thinking about it now, like, Cruella was just so, like, evil in every single way, and she just did not care. She just, like, walked around, and she had her, like, cigar just smoking everywhere.
Cruella
Yeah.
Cruella Deville.
Yeah, it was so good. And just the storyline, too, I think was really cute.
Nobody will.
Yeah, there it is.
I love 101 Dalmatians.
I loved Cruella. Emma Stone killed it. But yeah, 101 Dalmatians.
I was gonna say there is a live action one that's out that is really good.
But that's not 100. It's not the same story.
No,
it's not at all.
And like, she's good. She's scary, but like, I was scared.
Yeah.
of Cruella
Yeah.
when
She
I
was
was
a
younger.
scary looking, like
She
the
was a
animation.
skinny
She was
little
so
lady.
skinny, just bones, like her
Yeah.
face. And when she comes,
reminded me-
I'll never forget the car when she comes.
Yeah, she's like,
the hot rod.
The way, it was.
Yeah, and then she
It was
drove.
a really good movie. Yeah.
It was
Animal
really
cruelty at its top in a high
good.
grossing
Oh my God.
Disney movie.
And the
really.
original Disney movies, like, they are.
They're
I feel
dark.
like
They're
they,
all.
yeah, even
they
their
have, like,
dialogue and stuff.
Like the
with
family
the dogs,
that gets wronged is so wholesome and all, and then they have to go through this horrible
Right.
ordeal.
I was like, they did not deserve that.
Isn't that where the Siamese twin cats are from?
No, that
That's
is
okay.
Lady
So I
in the
wasn't
Tramp.
sure. I wasn't
Lady
sure.
in the
But
Tramp.
but there's something. There's an evil. Is it like a little
It's a
poodle?
little cat. but
There was
it's
a
good
cat. Okay.
It's a little tabby cat.
Okay.
He's like helping,
Yeah,
but it was so good.
it's such
Dogs
a good
all
movie. It
come
really
together.
Was,
The
yeah.
community really
And
comes through.
That's more that old animation.
The Scottish Terrier.
style.
They're worth it. Those two other dogs. Yeah. Oh yeah. I love those
the
guys.
lab, I think.
Yep.
The alligators remember, because there's like the steamboat where they're hiding out at one point, where there's gators and shit before.
That's the Rescuers.
Is it?
Yeah, I
No,
was
but there
gonna
was
say, I don't
puppies. Oh,
remember.
there's puppies on that one too,
don't
isn't there?
remember.
That's the Rescuers,
Alligators.
dude. Oh yeah,
See,
but
it's
that
coming
means
back.
you've seen it.
I know I've seen it. I've
Back.
seen all of these movies.
Yeah.
It's all
So,
Disney animated
it
blur.
does
It's all
kind of
in there
blur.
still.
It does kind of blur.
All the drugs didn't help them.
I'm sure. I love the music
didn't
in
actually
101
take that many
Dalmatians.
drugs.
There's the fact
was
that the I guess he's not really a lead guy because all the leads are the dogs.
The pups.
But the homeowner that owns all the dogs, he's a music writer. So that's kind of where the music comes in. It's not. I don't remember there being like too many random songs throughout.
I don't think there was
No,
really.
there was a
that.
few, and I think it was mainly just the one, and they played it over and over because you know what I
okay.
mean. He was practicing something,
Yeah.
and then when
Yeah.
you
But
came back
also,
to the
like-
end and they got together, it was the same song.
Yeah.
I might also
yeah.
be blending it with scenes from the Aristocats.
Well,
Maybe,
I mean,
but
to
there
be
is
honest,
one
I'm
scene in
pretty sure the
101
dad was the
Dalmatians.
exact same guy. Like,
Maybe.
I mean, look at how they're drawn next to each
Yeah, I
other.
know.
You know what I mean? The similarities,
This is
the,
the
Easter
reused
eggs.
cells.
This
This
is
is
what
the
we're
reused
saying.
But
Yeah.
actually, yeah, because I was thinking about
Oh,
when you said
know what? They
went to
probably
go see
changed his hair
Coraline.
color. He wasn't blonde. He had the same nose and ears, but now he's.
Yeah.
Oh, they
What-
totally do that.
What were you
though.
saying?
There's so many characters that look like.
There are so
in
many.
Disney things. But like with Coraline, like I
Yeah.
feel like the mom in that when she turns evil, or not evil, but the other mother,
Yeah.
kind of reminded me of Cruella.
Oh, when she went
she gets
into
really
the
skinny
spider.
and
Oh
the
yeah,
spider nails and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not the
saying.
cells, but still the same idea of
Yeah,
what's scary
not.
and creepy and evil. Yeah.
You know, when I
just
really
for
think about it,
kids,
and
it
this
was
is
just a
imagery, yeah.
good thing to. Ugh, I don't like it. I don't like it.
some of my earliest scares, some of the movies that I've seen that like gave me fright, kind of all come down to female characters. Because like for me, the first creepy was the wizard or the witch from the Wizard of Oz. I remember seeing that when I was 3 or 4. When that bitch came on, I ran down the house. I was
scary.
crying.
Well, that makes sense. 'Cause
Crying.
I'm not going to go there.
Crying, but yeah, like it's then the Rescuers and Cruella. Disney had a thing.
They did, and it's funny because you don't think about it when you
Somebody
think
had
Disney,
some
but
mommy
like,
issues.
they had some really
No, it had nothing to do with that.
I'm not talking
No,
about
but
you.
it's
I'm
true, 'cause,
talking
like-
about the animators, dude.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, even thinking about it, when I was like a kid,
We've all had that
watching
evil
like
ant.
even
No, just me.
Huh?
That evil ant.
Evil Aunt.
No, I'm just being stupid.
Well, speaking on that, we're talking about the movie. No, no, I have a
Go-
really good family.
go ahead,
I have
Kayden.
really good family.
Joe sometimes forgets his
I
manners.
do. I'm serious. The Little Mermaid, like Ursula.
Oh yeah,
Scary.
yeah, scary, very scary.
Really scary. Because I was watching that when I was like little.
Yeah, no, she was frightening
Snow
when that
White?
came out. Oh,
Scary witch.
Right
with the
there.
apple.
right there. Yeah,
Never trusted anyone again. When they
or
offered
taking an
fruit.
apple from a
Maleficent,
stranger.
Yeah.
Maleficent.
No,
I
like,
mean,
no, I
that's
saw
the whole
Snow
thing.
White.
Don't take candy from
No,
a
I
stranger.
mean,
I guess
well,
that's the
yeah,
message.
Snow White. The name of the Wicked Witch is Maleficent. She turns into the.
That's Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, that's Aurora.
Aurora, but
The
she still
princess.
turns into the old lady in some way. Like she was still.
She was beautiful. I don't remember.
She
I
was
don't
still
know.
in Snow White.
with
She was
all
still
the
the queen. She
seven
turns herself into the old lady to give her the
Oh,
apple.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not
True.
Maleficent, but not the old lady. She was a queen witch type,
Yeah.
same as
was-
Maleficent.
Yeah.
Kinda.
So
but
we've moved
Definitely not Maleficent. Yeah.
very far away from 101 Dalmatians. Any more comments on 101 Dalmatians?
Nope.
No,
All
I
right.
think we're good.
That brings
What
it
is
to
yours?
me. What do we have for representation? So we've got Pixar stuff, got some newer stuff, got some older stuff. All right, so I'm. This is gonna be my
What's
last.
your list say?
This is gonna be my last
Scared me.
newer pick. This is gonna be my last newer pick because then I think I'm
sorry.
definitely gonna go classic. But I am a huge fan of Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, that's
Yeah, Lilo and Stitch was a good one. Yeah.
Lilo and Stitch. I first saw, so that movie came out on DVD within a month of my daughter's birth. And so it was the first thing
that's
we
two
bought.
Samoan and Hawaiian heritage films.
Yeah.
on our list now.
Nice.
So it was the first
Trend.
movie that we had bought because I wanted to start building her Disney collection, being someone from a family that my mom bought stuff when shit came out of the vault. So she had VHSs galore
Right,
of
so you wanna
this
add
shit.
to that, yeah.
I wanted to start my daughter's collection. And, when you have a newborn, you're up a lot. And so it was on and such. But the story in that one, being a newer movie, Disney had reached out and tried some different story types. And they'd had the whole Pixar thing for a while. So different stories weren't exactly new to Lilo and Stitch. But there was something about Lilo and Stitch that was different than
Right.
any of the others, specifically the Stitch character. The Stitch
Yes.
character having no dialogue whatsoever, but being so emotive and so involved. But to then have that partnered with the young girl who is just struggling being a young girl in addition to being a young girl from a family with
basically
deserted,
orphaned,
yeah,
being
deserted
raised by
parents,
parents.
her older
That was
sister,
her older
Sister.
sister, who's a struggling single mother, who's
teacher.
not even a
And
mother.
she's just a teen. She's
Right.
just, you know,
just a
so
teenager, basically.
Sister.
Yeah.
I thought the way that they, you know, Ohana means family, and like there was able to be
Beautiful
this
story, yeah.
incredibly touching story amidst this incredible fun journey of these outer space aliens.
With aliens, yeah.
Right.
Coming-
So
I love it.
coming to try and find, and then, you know, with the Michael Clark Duncan, or is that Ving Rhames? I forget which. Oh man,
No, it was Michael Clark Duncan.
was Michael Clark Duncan as the Fed that was, you know, it's such a wonderful story.
Interstellar Federal.
That would be one that I might
Oh, no,
actually
I know
want
what
to see
you're talking
live
about.
action.
A Lilo and Stitch? I
Yeah.
would agree with that. I would agree with
Maybe.
that
I
because
don't
that
know,
would
'cause,
give
like-
purpose to it. It would give there was actual real people characters,
It
right?
would give purpose to it. Yeah, there was a real life situation, and it's been long enough for that movie.
How can you
know what I
how
mean?
can
Like,
you
Yeah.
do a live action Lion King and not have anything live action? It's fucking stupid.
That was
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, there'd
They
be
were really
actual
cute,
people.
but-
There would be actual people in Lilo and Stitch, and then a cool, dope ass Sonic the Hedgehog type CGI
Right.
fucking Stitch. To see like fur on Stitch and to see how they would make him emote, and like that would
His
probably be
movements
very.
and everything.
And it would like he could maybe move a little creepier.
Right.
Or
Well, but here's the thing: the cartoon was very
not
touching.
much. But
The cartoon
A
was
little
very
bit.
touching, but I think a live action Lilo and Stitch might add that little bit of divisibility from reality
And
and,
let's be
unreality
honest,
to make
there
it
hasn't been-
more to like you'd cry.
there
Yeah,
hasn't
oh,
been a real
totally.
like ET kind of movie since ET. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Where like kids get to connect to this extraterrestrial type thought process. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
It's a different little thing.
Yeah. So Lilo and
That'd be
Stitch,
cool,
I
but
I love Lilo and Stitch. Did you ever 'cause, let's see, so you're born probably a little later than my daughter, so the TV show came out. Did you ever watch the TV show, the Lilo and Stitch cartoon? Yeah. So and I didn't really either, for it came out for a quick bit, but it died. Like after that, like I personally don't hear people talk
I
too
was
much
only
about
aware
the
of
film.
it. I was only aware of the cartoon because I had a girlfriend back in the day that had a kid who watched it
Would
because
watch
she
it.
loved the movie and she
Right.
yeah.
But it kind of like it. I think it did fine at the time, but at least in the
It did, and it has its following, but yeah,
I don't think it's on the
It's
tip
not
of
in the
people's
limelight,
tongues.
no.
So that's why I kind of
heard
wanted
it.
to mention it tonight.
No, I did go to the Lilo or Leo. Is it Lilo?
Lilo.
Lilo. I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah, it's
Lilo and
fine.
Stitch.
But
yeah.
I went to their they had a ride at Disney for a while.
Really
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if they still have it now.
interesting.
Good
I'm
point,
really
yeah.
not sure, but it was really freaking scary.
Really?
Is it like a
remember
roller
that.
coaster?
No, it was like one of the ones where you go in the room and you sit down.
Oh,
And then they
okay.
have,
So
like,
yeah,
The live
Stitch, like-
experiences.
Yeah, and he like broke
They
out and he was like
rebrand
running
those.
around. There was like lights flashing on and off. It was so scary. I was like, why?
they rebrand
Why are
those.
everyone
626.
running out of
Yeah.
the building right now? I was like, everyone's sitting so still. It was really scary because I think it was before I saw the movie, honestly.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So I was terrified.
You didn't,
So what
Yeah.
what really sucks about this, and I don't remember what the change was, if it's too much affect the overall story, but this is one of the movies that's affected on post correction. So there's a scene where Lilo hides in a washing machine, and they have since changed that. So now the only visible version of it is different from what I have on DVD.
Right,
I don't
yeah.
remember what they replaced it with, but
I
they
think
have
it's a hamper or
reanimated
a
it.
cabinet or something.
And
It's
so
not
yeah,
the
so now
washing
the
machine.
streaming version of it is a different
Why did they change it?
animation because they didn't want
You can-
kids
Because kids were hiding in there.
I don't know if they were, but yeah, I mean,
You
Just
just
hide
don't
and
want
seek,
kids
bro.
climbing in dryers. You know what I mean? Or
so
Yeah,
they,
that's
they
smart.
they did edit that some years later before streaming.
That's really
Yeah, I
interesting.
was
So you have
aware
like
of that,
a
yeah.
really rare copy of it.
I guess, yeah,
Like you better like
yeah,
that
really.
in a
One day might be
safe
worth some
place.
money.
Someone wants some,
Might
yeah.
be gone one day.
You know, just make sure there's no scratches on it. Re-shrink wrap it, and just tell them it's on open.
So recently, my mom wanted to clean out the closet with all the Disney VHSs,
Millions.
and she was like, "Do you guys want them?" And I'm like, part of me, yes, but I'm already hoarding so much shit that it's going to be worth something. And I I didn't want to deal with that. And you're hearing people getting like $250,000 for VHS tapes, and I was just like, I just don't want to deal with it. So
I was like, I don't want to do
we
that.
have just so effectively we've basically raised the value of all of the other VHSs out there because I'm pretty sure they got thrown away.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I mean, just thrown out.
That's a bummer.
It is a bummer.
But you know, my brother tried to. Well, I think he still is trying to resell like VHS tapes that he got.
Yeah,
and like
there's somebody
if
out
they're
there who wants
damaged
them.
at all, they're like
that's
not worth
that's the thing.
Yeah,
'cause
they're like comic books.
We used
now.
the shit
Yeah.
out of them, and they were that was my
so-
thought.
Right.
They've got dents in them, but they were the there was a specific collection, the Diamond collection, I remember, and they came in this weird fold out foam plastic like. It was obnoxious. It was large. It was bigger than all your other VHS. You could just see them in the
I know what
spine,
you're talking about, the
and it
foam
made all
ones,
kinds of noise when you opened it up. Yeah, but those are
Keep it
dented. They were
safe.
dented and
They're
wet.
all
You know, we were
messed up.
kids.
Oh, yeah.
they were children's belongings.
Of
They were
course.
not in perfect condition.
All right,
So
on
Joe,
to
this is
the
your last
final
pick.
selection.
Your
of
last
the
pick of the night. We got 3 more
and
picks.
I got to go with 1988's Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I'm doing another live action mixed animation. I know, sue me, but it's not live action animation like we were talking about. You know, the new wave of animation.
Right.
And Bob Hoskins is just amazing in this. And the animation, like Christopher Lloyd, it's just such a good movie. And it was a huge part of my childhood. I loved it. I loved
Toontown.
I loved the idea that there was literally just a wall in Hollywood where I could go visit my cartoon favorites. You know what I mean? I loved that idea as a child. And
What's
I
groundbreaking?
knew it wasn't real, but I still believe that like animation is that close. Like,
What's groundbreaking
our
about that
imagination
movie-
is really that close, so you can reach out and touch it.
I
if you
totally
want
forgot
to.
it was a Disney property, and it has so many other IPs. And you see Warner Brothers characters. You see, I don't know what another big, but there was characters from across companies.
Yeah,
making
Goofy, Mickey, and Minnie, Donald Duck. I mean, that's just a few. Bugs Bunny.
Those
Elmer
were
Fudd.
Disney though. Bugs Bunny would be the stretch.
Bugs Bunny, Elmer Fudd, yeah, that would be. But there were other ones as well. There were more than that. Tweety Bird, Sylvester, Roadrunner.
Right,
but
the
then
Warner
there were
Brothers,
also
the Merry
all
Melodies.
new created ones just
Absolutely.
for the film that illustrated that there were more worlds out there and
Right.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Have you seen Roger Rabbit?
So
sorry. No, don't apologize. So this is our stance. This is my personal stance. If you've not seen it, it's not about shame. It's about there's a whole good movie still looking. You know, that you still have to look forward to. You know, because there's so much. There's so much that I haven't seen, and you know, I think it's just an opportunity to see. Cause if I were to be able to see it for the first time again, it would be awesome. So I have a little bit of jealousy, but.
Such a good movie.
Yeah.
It's really good.
So it's about
the whole ride.
It's a caper case, and Bob Hoskins' character is a private investigator of sorts, and he gets hired to seek out something that takes him to Toontown, which, like Joe described, is an area of Hollywood where you can cross over and you see all the animated characters, and he has to solve this crime there. So it's this this unbelievable collision of a real life actor and interacting with animated characters in a time that wasn't done a lot. We do a lot more now.
Yeah.
A lot more now.
But when did it come out?
So 1990 something. Let me see here what the year was.
I can't believe I haven't seen it. I've heard of it. I
And
watched it.
Roger Rabbit himself is a bunny, much like Bugs Bunny.
Of course.
Let's see, Roger Rabbit, 1988.
So it's like a classic.
Right, I was 7 when it came out, and so you know it's. And Joe's right. You know, I don't hear a whole lot about it, but it blends what is wild and crazy about cartoons, and it's less Disney in its look than some of the other characters we mentioned, like Warner Brothers, because it does like the zany, like eye popping or jaw dropping or the cartoon violence, where something that would absolutely destroy a living being, somehow the animated character survives it. But there is this strange, and I highly recommend checking out behind the scenes footage of Bob Hoskins acting in front of early blue screen and then them compositing, because he didn't have anything to act against. other than the actor who played Roger Rabbit had the studio get him a full Roger Rabbit costume, and he was on set doing his ADR lines for Bob Hoskins.
Screen. Yeah.
Off
Sorry, I had a big old loogie. I didn't
Sure.
want to.
Sure.
Didn't know if I didn't want to vomit.
Yeah,
I
we
was
were
just getting
we were
filled
just getting
in
a
on
little
the
bit of discussion about it. So yeah, I highly recommend that you seek it
It's
out.
a star-studded cast.
Yeah, definitely.
Bob Hoskins, Charles Fleischer played Roger Rabbit. Christopher Lloyd plays Judge Doom. Kathleen Turner as Jessica Rabbit. Yeah, Joanna Cassidy as Dolores. It's so good. And this is like Brad was just saying before. Like there were like little dots that they would hang or things that they would say for the actors to do. Like Bob Hoskins did not take a job for a whole year because he was looking at the air so much he started literally hallucinating and seeing weasels and rabbits. Like he had to like take time off and reground himself.
So we're talking whole scenes that this one human had to perform, and then they animated like weasels going around his neck that he reacted to, talking to a bartender over here that didn't exist, and it was just.
And the
I would've went
animators
crazy.
had to react to
Right?
his imagination and how he sold it, and it just brilliant. It's beautiful. There's nothing like
Yeah,
it.
and there won't ever be, because even though we could do something like that, and we should still do things like that, Sonic the Hedgehog is an example of something
It's
like
close
that.
to it, but
It is still 100% different than that.
then that
That's a good choice, Joe.
that first starship of that, the flagship, if you will.
Kayden, this is going to be your last recommendation of the night. What do you got?
Okay, I have stuff on here, but I think I'm gonna change my mind actually. For my
Curveball.
list.
I love it.
Yeah,
I
'cause
love it.
I was thinking about the original first Toy Story.
I love Toy Story.
That's it.
I love
That's
Toy
it.
Story.
Toy
Toy Story
Story.
is the start of everything that.
It's a whole universe.
Because here's the thing: if Toy Story failed, I'm not saying that CGI wouldn't have continued on,
Right.
But the time and effort that Pixar took
the
to get
Pixar
to
that we
that,
know wouldn't be here without that movie.
and you tell us,
I
tell
don't
us, tell us
know,
about
you
your.
guys are gonna talk about like all the professional, like technical
No, but
stuff.
I
I'm
wanna-
gonna be like, I love.
Yeah, how
the
did it hit you?
characters
Exactly, that's what I need
and
to know.
Buzz and Woody, how they became pals.
Absolutely, it's such a
infinity
good
and
story.
beyond.
Also, like as a kid, like your toys coming to life, you already have that imagination still set in your head that like
Right.
that they could come to life, and like you always think about them
Yeah.
talking. So to see it on screen and like have that amped up even more, you'd be like, yeah.
I
Like,
thought
yeah,
so.
I knew
Them sons
I
of
knew
bitches partying when I
moved
leave.
was sleeping.
Yeah.
So it was really fun. And then they made all the sequels, so that's fun too. But I feel like I didn't pay as much attention in the sequels.
So I don't dislike the sequels. The sequels hold some merit. The second one, I'm the least fan of the second one, but I think that's because that was my daughter's favorite movie. So we watched that thing
Burns out.
into your brain.
so many times.
Yeah.
Like you just start to lose a little bit of appreciation for it. It's definitely been long enough since of that overconsumption that I could probably
Right,
reapproach
yeah.
it. But one is just like it sets the tone for it. Like while each 2, 3, and 4 each take they're different stories, all of them. But all of them are at the core because of one and the
Yes.
world that was built. The fact
Yeah.
that the toys that are in the vending machine live in their own little universe.
all the you gotta do the lips like this.
The bully next door,
It's gotta
and
travel
we all knew that kid that would abuse toys. So the way that they
my
mixed
God, I
and mashed
hated
and made the
him.
creepy toys.
Sid,
Yeah, I was
You know?
like, see, that's
You know
what
that-
happens.
that
That's
one-
why Weird Barbie.
But then there's
Weird
the-
That
this is
one
where-
British actor from We're the Millers. I don't know his name off the top of my head, but he's also been in I think some
my
sci-fi
God.
stuff. Like
I know what
he's
you're
actually
talking
had somebody
about.
confront him in real life as if like she thought he was Sid. She's like, that movie changed my life,
really?
and he was like, it was new, it was fresh in my career, so I just kind of took the photo and went on with my day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it on the Graham Norton show.
As far as Easter eggs that as you age, you get more appreciation out of the creatures that come out, the mixed mash. My favorite one is the one that comes out. She's long legs, and she's got a little like Tinker Toy thing here with an arm, a boom that comes out, and she's got a hook on it. She's a hooker.
She's a hooker.
It's hilarious.
I never got that as a kid.
I mean, really rewatch
So
those.
good.
They're oh man.
I was like, wow.
That kid was.
Wild. And then the
Somebody,
baby doll
somebody
on the-
went a little hard into the paint on that one.
Yeah.
There was
That
some
was
clever
funny.
stuff in there. Yeah,
Yeah,
hooker was good,
it's
but
such a
there was-
grand adventure too, because there's in one movie they're at the house, and the house alone is so much. The front yard when Buzz gets knocked out, you've got the pizza shop, you've got the next door, and then the whole ending sequence. Like to cap it all off, they've got this moving sequence where they have to rescue their friend, and it's just
yeah.
there's
It's
so,
an
it's so
emotional
much.
roller
There's
coaster.
so
Yeah.
much.
They go back to the teddy bear, like with the little girl, and they show that and
Yeah.
like why he turned bad, and I was like, man,
I love it.
goes into a lot.
That was Toy Story 2.
Oh,
The bear was three.
well, I'm mixing
there.
them up.
Was it?
I'm
three?
mixing
Yeah,
them up then.
so that was after they all
Daycare?
Oh,
got dumped. He was
three.
the asshole at the daycare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The garbage dump.
Two.
See, I'm
So
mixing them
the
up,
garbage
but
dump
I
is
need
the
to rewatch it.
saddest moment. Well, I don't want to the saddest because there are
It's sad.
Disney makes you cry. So one of
lot. They're good at it.
some of the tears I shed were from Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
I've never cried as hard as Free Willy. When the whale jumps in.
Oh boy.
Wow.
That was
That
it.
was really beautiful.
Save the
Really
whales.
touching.
Even the killer ones.
So now I have the responsibility of capping this list off.
Yeah.
You better do it.
So there's a title that I really wouldn't like to mention twice if I've already talked about it, and I do feel like we have. I just got to find the episode. So I'm going to assume that we did, and I'm going to go with Sleeping Beauty.
No, we did not talk about that one.
No, this isn't, because that's not the one. I love Sleeping Beauty. I think Sleeping Beauty is a movie that can be enjoyable to both boys and girls. I think Disney kind of spread the line. Like you look at some titles and you're like, okay, that was clearly for boys or that was clearly for girls.
Oh, I guess
And
you skimmed
Sleeping-
over it earlier with an honorable mention, but of course you can mention
Mention what?
Sleeping Beauty.
No, Sleeping Beauty is my choice.
Yeah. I was wondering your hesitance.
It's not because
Yeah.
because it's not this title.
Okay,
picked-
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you following?
I get it. Yeah.
I'm cool.
He was gonna say one, but this is the second.
So,
this
yeah.
option B.
I'll pause and let you catch up before
No,
we
I
continue
caught
talking
up.
about it.
I was
Okay.
just saying I caught up.
So what I love
Good,
about
I'm good. You
what I
good?
love
Yeah,
about
I'm good.
Good.
Sleeping Beauty is there's so many characters and there's so much to offer. Like there's the romance about it. There's the singing animals in the woods.
Yeah.
But you've got the three sister the little fairies, the women. I think it was Flora,
Fairy
Nora, and
godmothers.
Dora,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Who rescued Aurora and take her away so that Maleficent can't find her. But then, like halfway through the movie, it becomes this grand adventure with Prince Charming and the dragons and the goblins. Like it gets freaky scary for a moment, and it's just it just rounds it all out, and it's made during a time where Disney started all their movies like a storybook. So the book opened and they narrated a little bit of to get you in, and then
But that was a pinnacle cornerstone of their animation. That was the first one where they really went like into that, like you say, scary and like grandiose, like not afraid of how the kids felt about it.
sure, and it was very successful for me. I think it always felt like a long movie as a child. I don't know how long it actually is. I'd be curious to take a look here. But because it has so much going on. My favorite characters are the sisters, the fairies, because they just bring so much joy to the movie, and their little bickering back and forth and the arguing over the colors, right on down to when when she's dancing and the dress is still
stepsisters,
changing colors and no, they're not evil. They were her guardians.
They were the good ones.
Yeah, they were her guardians.
I'm thinking, no, never mind.
You thinking of a different thing?
Yeah,
bro?
no, yeah, you're talking about the fairy god sisters.
It was like a
right?
purple dress, a blue dress, and a pink dress.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was blue, green, and pink.
Oh, green and
Blue, green, and pink.
Okay.
Blue.
I'm gonna look their names up. What's flora, Merriweather, and fauna.
Yeah, and there's been
Those are the ladies.
several renditions of this, especially some live action ones that were actually pretty good.
Yeah, she
Not full
pictured.
movies,
Going with
usually a
Angelina
series.
Jolie.
Yeah, it was Maleficent. They had 2 of them
That was
actually.
good.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
But that's more
It
about
wasn't
yeah.
Sleeping Beauty though.
No,
It was
No.
based
that's
on
Maleficent.
the villain.
Right. No, I'm talking about actual like Sleeping Beauty renditions.
Oh.
Yeah.
So have you seen Sleeping Beauty?
You know what? I saw it when I was really young,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't remember the ending of it.
She's woken by a kiss.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah,
I was
right.
nervous she would never be woken.
No, she pricked her finger on a spinning wheel because that was the curse that was given to her by the evil witch Maleficent.
Mm-hmm.
And after Prince Charming goes through the thorn bush and fights the dragon, and I don't want to ruin it all, but
No, please don't spoil
he
it.
kisses her and saves the day.
Oh God.
So yeah, I mean, it's obviously
ending.
it's the root of a lot of trope-tastic stuff. It's based likely in a Hans Christian Andersen story. I'm not positive, but
I believe so. Yeah.
I understand where because that's another reason why I think I wanted to bring it up because like as a kid, I don't think I loved it. It's so intense
Yeah.
that for young kids it's just a lot. But we had it at the house. So someone will watch it, it'd be there some years ago on. Now you're 10, now you're
Watch
12,
it,
and
yeah,
you're watching
watch
it.
it.
Yeah, and your attention span is a little less wonky and like, oh man, there's a water right in that door right there.
Help yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah, right,
I'm going.
right there, the one. Yep,
leave
yep.
my
Bingo, that's the one. So that's why I think a lot of youngish children will just like if you watch it and it's not for you, why would you come back and visit it? You know, and then in more recent times they tried to go back to that story as you mentioned with Angelina Jolie and a live, completely different aspect of the story. Just assuming you know Sleeping Beauty, she fell asleep, guy kisses her.
That's the most recent is where they're like, hey, we've retold this story so many times. Let's tell it from the witch's angle. Mm-hmm. You know, because if there are plenty, like especially if you like look at the BBC and some of their miniseries, they've done like at least 6. Also, Wizard of Oz, you can see all sorts of renditions of that through series at the BBC. You know
Oh,
what
of
I mean?
course.
They, old British stories, they'd like to retell them bitches.
Yeah.
Do either of you have anything to add regarding Sleeping Beauty?
No, I'm ready for honorable mentions.
All right,
I need
so-
to watch the ending of it again.
Yeah. So the list of our recommendations for Disney animation, as picked by myself, Joseph, and our beautiful guest Kayden, is as follows: The Incredibles, Inside Out, Soul, Moana, The Nightmare Before Christmas, The Rescuers, Pete's Dragon, 101 Dalmatians, Lilo and Stitch, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Toy Story, and Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah,
So,
man.
yeah.
I gotta say,
Hey.
like
good.
we've always had good lists, but this is a star-studded cast.
It
Like,
goes. I
there's
think
not
it
one movie
explores.
that I'm like, I don't want that.
It
one.
explores a lot of different areas of what Disney has had to
It's
offer,
the
and
full
that's what
spectrum,
I
I think. Yeah, at least
Yeah.
for the people in the room, like it definitely is
thought.
broader.
I think 100% it hits a little bit of everything from the old to the new to the somewhere in the middle. So yeah, we do usually talk a little bit about some of our honorable mentions, but before we do that, is there any projects or releases or anything that you want to promote or anything that you want to put out there for people to follow, anything like that? No pressure. If you want to, this is your opportunity.
Oh my gosh, I didn't think about this part. Well, I know we brought up A Holiday I Do earlier. That comes out for you have to buy it, but it's a really really good Christmas movie.
I loved it.
Streaming
out-
on Tello on November 10th
Yes, sir.
of 2023. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So by the time you're listening,
it should be out.
go watch A Holiday I Do.
Yeah, Holiday I Do on the what do they Tello, the LGBTQ plus.
I'm not really
streaming
sure. It's
service?
a streaming
I think
service,
so.
I think.
I
But it's
honestly,
it's
definitely
TELLO.
friendly. It's
Yeah.
definitely friendly of that.
yeah.
Like, what's their? They had a slogan. I can't remember.
I don't.
Yeah,
Oh, I don't know. There's
probably
don't.
on the website. Check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Just search
TELLO.
Tello. Yeah, or just look up A Holiday I Do. Yeah.
That's it. And then I think that's it for right now. That's all I really want to promote for things that are coming up. I'm working on a project that's going to be on Tubi soon.
Wonderful.
Called, I believe it's Tubi. So I don't want to put out the wrong words, but that's what.
So you got a new one coming up that you're excited about?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, what's the title of that?
It's called The Night Watch.
The Night Watch.
The Night Watch.
So look out for that.
Mm-hmm. It's a thriller, action type of movie.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I've worked on tons of projects with you. If you're excited about it, then I'm excited for it.
Thank you. I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. Yeah.
It's always
thank
a pleasure.
You,
that was it. That was my only shout out for myself.
Joseph and I have finally started a Facebook page for UFOs. So
we're planning to release in the next
so
month.
we'll have some tag information on that at the end of the episode. Once I get the URL worked out, and we'll probably put it on all the previous episodes, so you probably should know already that it exists, but here's where it started. But you can reach me on Instagram at Beeford Clark. And Joe?
You can reach me on Instagram or Facebook at Joseph Sheldon Quick or at chaotic_artisan. If you type in Joseph Sheldon Quick, you'll find me.
You can email the show at ufostudio.detroit@gmail.com. And we want to hear what your choices would have been for today, for the Disney animation, and what your suggestions would be for future discussions. So who would like to start with the honorable mentions?
Well, let's keep the same rotation. I got mine pulled up here. Perfect. And it was one of my favorites. It still is to this day, and it's Fern Gully.
Not a Disney movie.
Not a Disney movie, or it would have been on my list, and I would have talked about it for an hour. And now we're wrapping up, so I can't really say much. But, I mean, Robin Williams and Tim Curry. Christian Slater. I mean, just the two was enough, because
it's actually
Tim Curry plays the villain. He plays basically smog and pollution.
Oh, yeah.
Robin Williams, Christian Slater plays, I guess, the protagonist or antagonist, or
he's the protagonist. He's the asshole human that gets shrunken down to show his terrible ways of being a construction deforester.
And then Robin Williams is Betty, and he's
My
amazing.
name is Betty.
Yeah, my logic is erratic. Toys in the attic. If you want to hear the best Robin Williams rap, because let's be honest, it's not the only Robin Williams rap. He's done a lot of them, but the best one, in my opinion, it's in the first 20 minutes of Fern Gully, one of the greatest animated movies of the early 90s, because there was this whole rainforest, save the rainforest movement, if y'all remember that, if you were alive for it. And this movie was all about that. And, they've already cut down 70% of it, and there ain't shit to save anymore. So, anyways, plant a tree.
So 100
watch Fern Gully. Learn about fairies.
100 years of Disney animation. We picked 12 of them, and Joe brings us a non-Disney movie for his discard. Caden, what do you got?
I have a Disney movie for you. That was a good pick, though. I think I had two options for my other one, but I think I'm gonna go with.
Mention them both.
No, I might.
No, I only have one. Normally I have like 6.
Oh, really?
So,
okay,
yeah.
you can mention my other one just on the spot. I think my first one is Princess and the Frog, because I really enjoyed that movie.
Okay, yeah.
And that's one that I've missed, and I hear great things about it, and I've yet to watch it.
I've seen it. My daughter loves that one. It's good. It has a great message.
Yeah, so I'll definitely.
I don't know. I just really like it because she does meet like a guy in it, but like she was already doing her own thing. And she was already working to like get her dream and get her restaurant and everything.
Okay.
And then this big journey happens. They turn into frogs. So it's really a lot harder than it would have been if they were people.
If they were people, sure, yeah. I don't know if frogs probably can't get licenses for your restaurants. Probably hard to get the.
But it was the voodoo.
OSHA don't play that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just loved that movie, and it makes me cry.
It was a good movie,
with the Firefly. I'm not gonna spoil it for you.
Yeah, don't spoil it. I definitely would like to.
What
I would
else
like
did you have? You said you had 2. What's the other one?
I will.
The other one was gonna be Finding Nemo.
Oh my God, such a good movie.
Yeah,
really good.
classic.
Yeah.
I mean,
my favorite part of that is the sharks surviving, like the sharks in AA.
Yeah. Fish
Sharks.
are friends, not food.
Yeah. Nigel.
yeah, it was just so good. And the turtles.
For the longest time, I knew that fucking
My
address.
daughter still does this. Like, whenever I go high five, she'll go knuckles, and then we do noggin. Dude. She started that at like 1.5, and it's because of watching Finding Nemo. She asked me to do that, and we just still do it.
I don't remember the numbers, but I know it's Wallaby Way, Sydney, Australia.
Don't do that to me. No, stop, brain. Stop.
Again, another Disney movie with a wide array of characters, and they live on screen for a short period of time, and you love them. You know, the turtles were the PCH, bro, and they just pass by
right now. Around.
And a
little square. Okay, rip it, roll it, and ride it, or whatever he says.
He's
Punch it.
just so good.
Yeah, the movie was amazing.
one of my daughter's early favorites. That one I didn't get tired of seeing. That one was just delightful.
It really was. Yeah.
I enjoyed Finding Dory too.
I did too.
Because Dory's such a likable character.
Lovable character.
Give her main story.
And then they just get her lost in a zoo. Like, she was in the ocean before, and now it's like...
I was always a huge fan of Ellen until she turned into a douche.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Well,
fair.
this was
I'm an elitist now. Get the fuck over
yourself.
douche time.
It was
pre-cancellation.
Yeah, exactly. That's better. That's
okay, so do you have any honorable
were there any
mentions?
others that you wanted to
She
mention?
had 2.
I don't think I have any on my list. I don't. Do you?
So I do. I
Okay.
do. So the one that I was like, do I talk about it, do I not, is actually my favorite Disney movie, which is why it's weird to not recommend it. But my all-time favorite Disney movie is The Sword and Stone. And I can't remember if we spoke about it previously.
Not on this, no, but
Was it on?
Brad makes this well known if you
Okay,
talk
you talk about it then for a little bit.
I love Sword and the Stone.
I do too. It's such I didn't put it on my list because I was certain you were going to bring it up.
And
Here
I
we
was
are.
furiously looking through old episode notes, and I was like, "But what episode? If it wasn't the first, what episode would it be?" But I distinctly remember having a
I
conversation
think it was
about
the
it.
first one.
I feel like maybe it was
think
our lost first episode, and
It might have been the lost first episode. It might have just been your honorable mentions
or
in
it
the
could have
first
been
episode.
that
That's
could have
what
been
I
as
think
well.
it was.
So
Yeah.
eventually,
Don't worry. Eventually,
we'll do a King Arthur
release,
one or something,
like-
and I'll be able to talk a whole lot about it. But the other two that I would I'll quick rapid fire 3 others. One is like a newfound appreciation. I didn't really love it originally because David Spade is in it, and I don't love David Spade. But Emperor's New Groove is such a funny fucking movie, and I just recently learned that the evil female character in that was Cloris Leachman.
Oh,
And so I have a
nice.
new
Yeah, she's
drive to want to go
amazing.
back
Yeah.
and watch that one
Everybody
because
loves
I was like,
Cloris
I had no
Leachman.
idea.
She's great.
But the other two that I would absolutely love to mention that I just adored as a kid, and I feel still live up, is Alice in Wonderland and The Lady and the Tramp.
Okay, those two I
Yeah,
debated putting
great.
on my list. Actually, both
and
of them.
Alice in Wonderland, to me, any rendition, just like in it, and read the fucking book. Like they're so good. They're so good.
It's just there are 2 more examples of a character going through like different scenarios and meeting shit tons of characters, and every single one of them just are like memorable in their own
Enthralling,
moment.
yes.
You know, from the caterpillar smoking fucking hookah to the famous
each
kissing
character's an
spaghetti
allegory to a life decision that you will face eventually. And yeah, if you know that going in, it's a little easier to recognize what they stand for.
scene. With Lady and the Tramp, it's a rom-comish type thing, but you had the Siamese cats, you had the beaver characters, there's just all these characters that these 2 main characters, come across in their little small venture in the world.
Lady
So
and the Tramp,
yeah.
That's a
so
movie
those-
that I didn't like as much when I was younger.
Definitely
It
did
didn't
not.
click with me, but then I rewatched it when I was a little bit older. And I was
Yeah,
like,
because
"Oh,
there's
okay, I
this
like
weird
it."
lack of fun for children, so it's weird. But I believe it's because they're from a time where the amount of what we consider adult content wasn't really present in movies, and movies when they were released were for everybody. Your
Right.
theater had one screen, it played one movie, and so if it was only towards one market, you're not going to
sometimes a
sell
double
tickets
feature,
for it.
right.
So being
Or
able
like,
to have that,
a lot of it was like a movie, and they had like a 10 to 15 minute animation before that. Here's for the kids. Tell them to shut up. We're watching them They always had a newsreel too, because there was no like evening news. You went to the movies to see the newsreel every week.
So our last bit of business to take care of is we've got to roll this dice. So Joe and I know what we're going to watch for the next episode. I'm going to hand this over to you. Oh, yeah. You got all the power.
Oh, my God.
All the power.
We got a nice little 12-sided die there.
Warm her up.
A little D&D action.
Yeah, this is fun. All right, you guys ready? 8.
3.
Oh, is that 3?
No, that's ocho.
Is it an 8?
Numero ocho.
Okay.
Ocho. I thought it was 8.
Ocho is 101
Ocho is
Dalmatians.
Ocho is 8 in Spanish.
So I'm excited. This is one that I think...
101 Dalmatians turkey butt. Yeah.
And you just slice it on Thanksgiving.
So for our next episode, we will be talking about 101 Dalmatians, which I'm pretty excited about because I genuinely haven't seen this in quite a time.
Instead.
That's not the same, but that is a great movie.
You can watch both.
Well, that's the whole point.
Back-to-back.
Like, I'm gonna watch Cruella, and then for the show, I'll watch 101 Dalmatians.
So
I'm just a huge punk rock fan, and the way they spun that, and I just love it.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. If they ever do enough good live animation or live remake type things, maybe we'll talk about it. Well, that could actually.
But most of them are shite.
They are, but that could actually fit a couple.
I don't know why I'm Scottish all of a sudden.
Excuse me, a couple of different genres.
Pretty good. I can't do Scottish.
Kayden, I want to thank you for coming out. We really appreciate you spending the time and chit-chatting about Disney movies with us. I hope you had as much fun as we did.
I had a blast.
She is going to stick around and join us for #SetLife. So take a look for that on streaming platform as well. Until then, I am Bradford with Joseph, and I want to thank Kayden.
Oh, wow, that was really, really nice.
For coming in. Yeah, that was...
That was the outro, everybody.
I was waiting. I was holding it. You can see it in the video.
Until then, everybody, until then, enjoy your movies, and we'll see you next time.
On Unorthodox Film Podcast.
Damn right.